You get you
What's up,
pause.
everybody? It's Real Talk Chronicles tonight. How are you? We got an exciting show. First and foremost, I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Kevin Branzetti. And snow is supposed to be coming. Snow is supposed to be coming for some people, but not for another person who is someplace. I'll let him tell you if he wants to. But the thing is, it is what it is. You know, we handle our business. Shout out to the people in Houston. Hope y'all staying safe, being careful. Uh, Shout out to my man Steve Meekins. He lost his son. Uh, Shout out to my man Denny Moe. He lost his mother. So I send my condolences to you and your families. It's Real Talk Chronicles, everybody. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Kevin Branzetti. Kevin, how are you doing this evening?
So
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Can you hear me? Because you're coming in broken up on my end, so I'm not sure if it's your internet or my internet.
No, mine is, I'm good. We're going to blame it on your internet.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
My,
while everybody else is snowed and bunkered in, getting ready for tomorrow, how are you enjoying that hot weather?
it's 75 degrees.
75 degrees. Kevin is enjoying life, everybody, and for his birthday, like I said, he had a birthday. Hey Elizabeth, what's going on? Hey Steph. Hey Lanier, what's going on? How are you? Um, Everybody saying hello. We got a good show tonight. We have some topics that I definitely wanted to discuss, and we were kind of sidebarring with, shout out to Pastor Graves. He was in that group. We have our little own group chat. Everybody that we sit here and we talk about things, you know, after show and before shows and during the course of the week, what we're going to discuss. And the topic at hand tonight is, first we want to talk about the Buffalo Police Department, the officers that were on trial. They were acquitted for pushing the old man down, hurting him. I want to also talk about um, Andre Hill. He was shot and killed in Ohio, I think it is, uh, and is messing with his car. And oh yeah, we can discuss the subway crimes. Absolutely, Stephanie. We definitely could stop. We can discuss that. We can discuss anything you want. That's the beautiful thing about Real Talk Chronicles. We can talk about anything we want to talk about. And so there's there's reform and change. There's reform and there's change going on in the world within the police departments and things of that magnitude. Also, um, what else? What else y'all want to talk about? What is this? Some stuff we want to talk about? You know, just the president, the ex-president. He didn't get impeached. I mean, he got impeached, but he beat it again. You know, like really, like here we go with that. All right, so dude, dude wins again. So I know Kevin, we got some topics we want to discuss. Um, which one do you want to start with first?
Let me see if I can. I'm going to try to pull up the video of the incident with Buffalo. I think that was the first one you hit me with. So
Yeah.
I could find it.
All right. Everybody, what we're going to do is, like I said, this is Real Talk Chronicles. Please, if you're on YouTube, subscribe to it. If you're on Facebook Live, share it to your friends. Let them know. It's the only show that we talk about. The only podcast that we talk real, very real. Not that everybody doesn't talk real. I don't want nobody to say Bill Foster said that they're not real. No, but listen, We try to come at you with very informative information on today's topics and current events. So that's what we do, and that's who we are. Also, coming up in the near future, we're going to have some people running for political offices that we will have them come on the show and just talk about who they are. Not a debate, not a real big Q&A, just something that, if we ask them questions, it will be because we want them, we want you to find out if these are the best candidates for you in the areas that you live in, out of the 5 boroughs: Manhattan, Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens. Like you said, Steph, unfortunately, you're not surprised that the Senate didn't impeach him. No. What's up, Mark? How are you? Stephanie, that's a great point that you brought up. Mitch became the itch, real soft. He wants to talk tough about dude, but they didn't have enough votes to do that. So
I got the video if you're interested.
All right. So right now, Kevin has had the videos. Whichever one he puts up first is the ones we'll discuss. Please, if you have some questions and comments, let's get it in because we're about to go live. Go ahead, Kev. When you do hit it, I'll do it. All right.
Let me try it again. It wasn't connecting.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a few things that, like I said, we want to talk about also too.
We always have to have a technical problem here.
Yeah, Mark, how are you this evening? Good, I hope. Everybody, are you ready for the snow or whatever? It's supposed to come.
All right, that should do it, Bill. You got it?
All right, let's go.
You got to let me know when, because I can't.
Tell
me when to hit play, dude.
Hit play. Rewind it, Kevin. Go back.
No, they will. They'll do it.
Okay. Everybody out there, I want you to look at these actions. What's up, Alicia? Look at these actions of the officers. They were found not guilty. I want you to be the, judge and jury of what you feel is this becoming of officers. So, all right, Kevin. Kevin, tell them your view on this because I don't want to misquote you or state that you said anything that you didn't say.
I don't see a crime. Honestly.
Okay. All right.
So, you got to look at from cops, frontline cops who are on the street during a protest or riot or any of the sort are they're going to do what they're told. At this point, the cops are told they got to clear that street. They're going to clear the street. So they are moving forward. You can see they're moving forward, telling people to get out, clear the street. This guy came towards them. Did he act aggressively or try to hit them? No, 0. The cop pushed him. That was not a hard push. I don't think we can call that a hard push. He lost his balance and he fell backwards on his head. You even see the cop went to go down to go help him. The sergeant tapped him on the shoulder and had him move forward. Right? The sergeant said, and the sergeant stepped back and he was calling. It looked like you could see him on his radio. What I'm assuming is he's calling for ambulance or something for him.
Won't you play it? Okay, I'm listening to what you're saying and I'm listening to from your eyes. And after you say it, let's play it one more time so everybody can understand exactly what you're saying. Because you're saying, if you can bring it back up, you're saying
give me half a second. I got rid of it. I'm having some internet problems today.
All right.
So I'm
let me know
clearing things out. I'm clearing things out after I use it so I don't clog up my thing. Like I said, I'm in a hotel, so.
Exactly. So what I don't like I said, everybody, I don't want to speak for Kevin. Kevin says they were told to clear everybody out. Man, 75 years old. Come to find out that the man was telling them that one of their fellow officers left their equipment over there, right? That's what we came to find out later on, that he was telling them that they left the equipment. He's 75 years old. Let's keep that in mind. Whether he was 2 or 75, the bottom line, he was 75 years old. He didn't pose any threat, right? And
no,
they pushed him. Reasons why? Why did they push him? Only those officers can tell you. We can sit here and Monday morning quarterback it and speculate, but we can add to the scenario. Is it this again? So we want to watch this again because Kevin said this is.
Tell me when you're ready, Bill.
All right, do it. Go.
So you'll see it'll. Let me widen it. All right, like you saw the guy go to bend down. The sergeant stopped him. The sergeant gets on his radio.
So look what he's saying. He's explaining that somebody left their equipment and they push him.
I don't know about that part, that somebody left their equipment.
Well, that's what it was stated. I didn't state it. I didn't make
Who stated that?
I don't have it. If somebody can fact check me, correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so we can come out.
I've never heard that part.
So what did you hear? The old man was just there to.
They're clearing the street. He's known. He's there part of the protest, right? That's what he's doing. He's my understanding is he's a known agitator at protests. So he came. They're clearing it. He came up. It was a light push. It was. Could we argue on should they have pushed him and let him go through? We can argue that. Fine. But in the end, that is a light push that the man lost his balance. Bill, if that push was to you or I, neither one of us is falling to the floor. I understand he's older. I will still tell you, 9 times out of 10, you push that guy with that level of strength, he is not falling to the floor. I think it was just, a set of bad circumstances on his fall and how he fell. If same push with that guy and he doesn't fall, he just kind of takes one little stumble back and then turns and moves. Are we looking to charge anybody?
No, there isn't any conversation. There isn't any conversation.
So I don't. If I would have saw the cops like really, take that aggressive, throwing your body weight push into him, we may have a different conversation. But that's not what that was.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Do you think a push is a push? But do you think age plays a factor on the person that you pushed?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so
absolutely. You wouldn't push a 9-year-old like that, and you shouldn't push a 90-year-old like that, right? We can argue where the ages are correct. One of us might say 16, one might say 18.
No, because like you said,
60 is too old. One might say 80 is too old.
No, because like you said, I mean, the bottom line is he's 75 years old. So the fact that they pushed it, you can see that he first and foremost, why are you pushing an old man anyway? He wasn't a threat.
It is something to be discussed and argued and talked about, but not criminal. Could he deserve to lose some vacation time? Okay, we can have that discussion. Is it in their proper procedures? Did he act accordingly from what he was told and the duties of the day? I got no issue with that, but I have an issue with the thought of charging those cops criminally.
So let me ask you a question. You tell me, and anybody that's listening, somebody look up what assault is, because assault is a physical harm to somebody, right? So the fact of it is, this man wasn't a threat. They could have told him, get out of here, move. Since you're saying he's an agitator, he's a known agitator. They pushed him. He hits his head. He's bleeding. You can see blood on the ground.
100% you saw blood. He's hurt. There's no question he's hurt.
So you tell me what assault, what is assault?
I'm having a hard time with the internet, Bill. I might log off and go sit somewhere else and give it another shot.
Okay.
For me, you're bouncing in and out, and I can't have a conversation with it. when I hear a third of what you say. So
All right.
I am going to cut for a minute.
Go log off and then come back in. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to try I'm going to try sitting somewhere else. Maybe there's a better Wi-Fi spot.
All right. Remove you. So everybody, you hear it. Kevin feels that wasn't assault. I don't know if that's not assault. What is assault? You tell me. Please help me talk about this, because I need you to ask him. Like you said, Alicia, he said, good evening, Pinky. It may not be a crime, but they did even attempt to render aid. So callous and cold-hearted, exactly. There was absolutely no need to push that old man. Absolutely. They could have easily just walked around him. That's what I'm thinking. Extremely bad optics either way. He did fall, and that's the issue. Exactly, Darren. Elderly people are not as balanced as younger people. I totally agree with you. There was zero need to push him. That's my take on it, everybody. I do not understand the fact to touch that old man. Listen, you could have stepped right around that old man like he was talking to himself. Walk around for Pete's sake. Exactly. Junior, is there consequences for the resulting injuries, Kevin? And they walked away from him when it was obvious he was hurt. Disagree 100%. Exactly. When Kevin comes back, I'm going to read him this message. Well, to play devil's advocate, there's been a rise in crime against Asian people pushing elderly Asian people down. They are looking for a purpose to charge them criminally. Exactly. So the bottom line is, if you're pushing elderly people, it's a crime. They should have rendered aid. Exactly. What's the difference? Because one is a cop, still unacceptable? Absolutely. See, these are the questions that I had to have Kevin say to you, because when I heard him, I was definitely caught off guard, because there's no way, if you want to say that, like the man got hurt, you can't tell me it was an accidental push. You didn't see the officers looking another way and they was running and they bumped into him by accident, and then God forbid he hit his head. Then I would have been saying, okay, we're not going to charge them criminally or anything like that. It's one thing if I'd have saw the officer spit in his face. I mean, the man spit in the officer's face and he pushed him. I still would have been like, yo, he spit in his face. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's have some checks and balances with this. But to be walking down the street and have him have a conversation, to have some words, share some verbiage, and then get pushed and get his head bust open. And then, Kevin, how you sounding now? Can you hear me? Oh, you froze. Try it again. See. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? You might have been better off where you were. Where are you now?
I moved down to the lobby. You think the hotel's at like 25% or 20% occupancy, that the internet would be great, but
Right.
All right, at the moment I got you.
Okay, well, good. So I just have some comments. I have some comments for you. Okay,
some hate mail.
Yeah. If you want to call it that. Let's see what they said. They said, Alicia, former NYPD, she said there was absolutely no need to push the old man. They could have easily just walked around him. Extremely bad optics either way. Darren said he did fall. That is the issue. I'm just going to read them and then I'll let you catch up and you can comment on what you want to. Alicia said, and then Alicia said, elderly people are not as balanced as younger people.
100%.
I think we agreed with that. There was no need to push him. I personally feel that way. I guess you disagree.
I'm not saying there was a need to push him, Bill. I'm saying it's not criminal.
Okay, so let's stay with that.
I'm not saying the cop shouldn't. We can't discuss punishing the cop. We can't discuss, like I said, some sort of internal charges against him for it. I don't like the optic of it. Could have done it better? Yeah, I think they could have. Clearly, right? It happened. But I just don't see criminal. To me, that's not a crime.
So, okay, I want you to stay with that. Junior Blake, a former 2-8 person, he said, and there's consequences for it is consequences for resulting injuries, Kevin. He says, as they walked away from him when it was obvious he was hurt. He says he disagrees with you 100%. Stephanie says, well, let's play devil's advocate. There's been a rise in crime against Asian people. People are pushing elderly Asian people down. They are looking for the perp to charge them criminally. Alicia said they should have rendered aid. Stephanie said, what's the difference? Because one is a cop, still unacceptable. Um, Frank Holden said, ask Kevin, then if that's not criminal, what do you or how do you discipline him as a cop? I'll go with that one.
So as cops, well, we know this. There's departmental charges, right? They can bring you up on any charges within the department, and that could be anything from warned to losing 30 days, 60 days pay. You can get suspended for a chunk of time. They could take 30 vacation days from you. I mean, there's a list of things that can be done depending upon the severity and how that department treats incidents.
So let me ask you a question, Kevin. You play commissioner. That comes across your desk. That incident, what you saw. What do you do? How do you handle it?
Well, you gotta do like anything else, right? To me, you gotta review it. You gotta hear the reports from the people, the sergeant, the cops at hand, right? Which one did it? The pushing of them, I want to hear the why, right? There's got to be, the cop has to explain it, right? That's the one thing the cops have to do. They don't have a choice internally. He's got to tell them why.
Okay, but let me ask you a question. Is there a justification for pushing an old man?
Well, at the moment, do I see one in the video? No. Do I think, he could have done that completely different? 100%.
I think we all agree that he definitely could have did that totally different. Because honestly, we're working. I don't see us pushing an old 75-year-old man. Let me ask you a question, Kevin. We're walking down the street, and that's, God forbid, rest in peace, Reverend Betty. And somebody pushed Reverend Betty, and she hit her head.
Oh, we're gonna hit that cop who did that.
Very true. But the bottom line, she hits her head. Now she's bleeding from the head. Like
I said, Bill, I'm with you on that part. I'm with you on, he was old, and if he is a known agitator and a pain in the ass, I don't really care. He's a human being. You can grab him. You could have pushed him to, held him, walked him to the side. I am sure at this point with all of this, that cop clearly wishes he would have just grabbed him by the arm and walked him off to the side. All right.
But
and then if the guy fought,
honestly, I don't even see it first. Now let me play commissioner. When I see that, if that comes across my taste, my desk, why did you even touch him? You couldn't have stepped around that old man. You know what I'm saying? First, that this is the way I'm going with this. First, what
I'm sorry. I just read Mark's comment about my shirt.
Oh, what did he say, Kevin? What would you do if
no.
This is a good question. Let me ask you a question.
First, let me just say this because I read this because it was pretty funny from Mark.
Okay.
Looks like Kevin is doing Zoom from jail with that orange jumpsuit shirt. All right. I got to give a man credit if he's got a good, funny line, right?
Yeah, exactly. So let me ask you a question.
Thank you, Mark. I will remember that one.
This is the trump card that I do have. If that was your grandfather, your father, and you saw him get pushed and his head bust open, what's your take then?
You're not going to be happy, but we're never going to be happy when it's our own, right? But I'm still just trying to look at it from a criminal perspective, right? A criminal charge. You could throw at me every direction you want with that. I'm not going to go with it's a crime. You can't tell me that it was the cop's intent to hurt him, right? That doesn't seem to make any sense to me. It wasn't that aggressive.
We're going with.
It wasn't that aggressive of a push or malicious of a push, right? Like it wasn't done in a way where the guy's gonna go into the floor, right? But like you could, Bill, you can push me in a way where you're fairly certain I'm going down.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And that's not what that was. So I can't. I can't see the criminal part of this.
Well,
We
let
can't
me ask
look
you
at
a
every
question.
time a cop does something wrong as and somebody gets hurt that it's criminal. Sometimes it's just it's cop work done poorly, and we need to either punish the cop or in some cases fire the cop. But charging him, I don't see.
So let me ask you a question. Do you think that was a reasons for dismissal?
That I can't comment on. I
Yes,
don't.
you can.
No, I can't because we're seeing one camera angle and not talking and hearing any of the officers, right, or the guy, right. He's got to be interviewed. They got to be interviewed. I need to hear
What? Let me ask you a
more.
question. I heard. I'm gonna let you say it again. What difference does it make? What angle we saw him fall from, or what difference does it? If he now, like I said before, you went, you switched angles. I even said if that old man would have spat at them and it landed in their face and they would have pushed him, I would have been like, all right. You understand what I'm saying? That's not
Unfortunately, I didn't hear you.
no okay, but that's what I did say.
This internet
But
is killing me, dude.
but that was when you were switching locations. But what I'm trying to say is that that's a reason to get pushed. There was no reason. And whatever he said to them, even if that old man said, "Yo, I hate your mother," you understand
Words
what I'm
don't
saying?
matter.
Exactly. That man got pushed because that officer, for whatever reason, wanted to push him because he knew he could. That was the bully. That was the bully. That was no other reason. But let me tell you something. If that was if that was your father, you can't tell me you would want to know. Well, why was my father? What did my father say? You would be more like, yo, come on, dude. You pushed my father. My father's 75 years old.
I might want to go meet that cop after work. There's no
But so
question,
but
right? Upset and criminal still two different things, Bill.
so let me ask you a
Right?
question. And this is real talk. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles, and this is what it is. And I appreciate you for being honest, whether I agree or disagree with it.
You know.
So you're telling me you want to meet him after work, but you still want him to keep his job.
Well, there's still a difference, right? When it's we all have that thing in life, right? You want to protect your own, whether it's wrong or right. What happens to them? I still can't make it criminal. If some guy blew a light and smashed into my father's car and knocked him into a coma, I'd still want to take the guy's. I still might get a little angry at
But
the guy,
but
and
what
it was an
he might
accident.
get, but it depends. He might get charged with reckless endangerment if he ran the light or if
You
he was
know,
drinking.
well, it don't even talk to drink. It's a different animal. But if it was a legit car accident, but my father got severely hurt, the other guy's fault, would I be angry at him? Yeah, of course I
Absolutely.
would. Right? Whether he was texting and driving or not paying. Yes, but it doesn't. It doesn't always mean it's criminal. If he was
Yeah.
drunk, it's criminal. Clear.
All right. So I mean, I'm gonna let you answer some of these questions because they're definitely for you or statements. Thank you, Frank, chopping it up. My man Frank in the building. Alicia said he didn't prevent them from doing their job. Just walk around. Absolutely. Mark said, Kevin, what would you do? We asked him that. Darren said, would you say the same thing if it was a group of black teens pushing an old white man? Would you say the same thing?
I can't. My internet is.
Did you read the comment? Darren's comment.
I really riled up people tonight because they got a lot of comments to catch up on here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
You did. No, that's real talk.
Yeah,
Listen,
yeah,
it's your opinion. It's your opinion. I mean, you're
it's
giving it from a perspective of what you feel. I mean, why you feel. I think the best thing only you can explain why you feel the way you feel. People can have speculations or ideologies, but the bottom line is coming out of your mouth, and that's why I wanted you to talk about this. And this is sometimes you got to take the bull with the
yeah.
bear. This is it. You feel that it's not criminal. I think it was criminal. Let me tell you something. You push it, and he got hurt. I don't think it was an accident. It's one thing if they were running, chasing a perp, and the old man was coming around a corner and they bumped into him by accident and he felt like, oh my God, damn, he hit his head. This is literally an old man, no threat, and you push him and he falls. You should. There's no way you're telling me. And then they had the audacity, a mitigating gall, to ask to be relieved of that unit because of the situation. And this is why I think, Kevin, a lot of times people of color have problems with shit. I mean, like, people can say liberals and stuff like that, but when you see an old man not doing anything and then they feel like the cops were wrong, and then all of a sudden it gets acquitted. I mean, people feeling that way.
Yep.
Vanetta said, "What's happening, Bill Foster, Kevin, and Malika Foster?" Hey, Vanetta. Mark said, "Look at Kevin. Okay, with the orange shirt." Alicia said, "There was probably no crime, but there was accountability either. No accountability."
Well, like I said, that's something I think is worth questioning. Is there accountability on this? Did they have an internal thing? Is there an internal charges? I think that's a completely valid and question we should be asking and pushing for.
Conduct unbecoming of an officer.
Yeah, and you may determine that that may be a good cop who's made a mistake, or it may be a bad cop we need to get rid of. I don't know. We all know it doesn't look good. It shouldn't have been done. I feel bad that the guy got hurt.
Okay, let me delve into your brain for a minute when we talk about good cops and bad cops, right? What is a bad cop to you?
Oh, there's a lot of things.
Not even talking about this situation. We can come back.
I mean, there's a lot of things. So a bad cop is, we can go from simple things of one who just doesn't really give a damn about his job, right? I find people who are bad cops who don't do their job, right? Like we have a duty. We're public servants. We're supposed to, help in multiple facets. So I've seen cops over the years who don't do their job. So they're bad cops. There are cops out there who are very heavy-handed and quick with their mouth. They're bad. I have there's no need for that. And then you could have out-and-out criminal cops, right? The rare ones that exist that are out there, stealing money from drug dealers.
Right.
Those are the obvious ones, right? But
right.
But there's an array of what a bad cop is. There's I don't like any cop. Look, as a cops, it's very tough. One cop does something wrong, 800,000 of us get looked at because of it. It's an unfair scenario, but it's the scenario. And so any cop who does something to tarnish the shield, I don't want.
Okay.
I don't need them.
Let me ask you a question, and like I said, I'm just going on it. I'm going to come back to these questions, but do you think being a racist makes you a bad cop?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Could racist cops do good police work? Yes, but it still makes you a bad cop, because when you're in that incident and color is playing into your mind, your decision making is going to be wrong. I've seen racist cops who are brave as hell, like who would run into a burning building and help anybody who's in the building, right? Like, you still don't want them.
Okay. I just want to
because then there is that incident where you don't look at the person, you dehumanize people you think are inferior to you, right? That's what racism's about. So when you dehumanize people who think inferior to you, you're going to treat them differently, especially in a high stress scenario where that grandparent, that grandmother, you might look as your own and go, I need to take it down a notch. And when you see it as not your own and you're dehumanizing them, you're going to be a lot more aggressive potentially. So
let me ask you another question. Do you think not all, absolutely, and everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with Kevin Branzetti. We're not, this is not about denouncing law enforcement because we're both former law enforcement. I don't want anybody to think that. But the one thing is, I will call a spade, and that's what I do. And I hope Kevin calls a spade too. For the most part, he does. And, he says what he feels. The one thing about Real Talk Chronicles, we try to give facts with opinions and opinions with facts. With that being said, do you think a lot of times with people of color feel that officers don't feel that, like, a lot of white officers don't look at them with equality, and that's why there's so much this despairing feelings?
So I'll never say a lot because that's a tough term. But yeah, are there cops who look at people that way? Of course there are. Are there incidents where people look? I've had it happen to me as a cop where people looked at me and they thought, because I'm a white cop, they judge me as being racist, right? Like sometimes we look at a scenario because I've told you this 100 times, Bill. Sometimes the cop is just an ass, and sometimes he's a racist ass, and it's hard to tell the difference without knowing more about the person. One incident, usually very hard to tell. I'm going to give you a quick story. Last time I was on from a hotel a few weeks ago, I'm in the lobby. It's me, 3 other guys, all law enforcement. We're hanging out by the bar's closed. We're hanging out by there. Guy comes down out of the elevator, white guy. And for the story, this matters. He's looking for his cell phone. She's asked us, I lost my blue iPhone, whatever. You guys see it? We're like, no. And he looks at myself and another cop, another white guy, and he says, look, I don't care. I just need the phone back and I'll pay good money for it. Insinuating like one of us stole it. Now I started laughing, right? Because that's just funny to me, right? You're an idiot. If you think, I stole your phone, you got the world confused. He was an ass, a big time ass. Now, if we were 4 black guys sitting at that bar when he came and made that accusation, he would look like a racist ass for saying it, but he wasn't. He was just an ass. He came up to me. Most places I go, I get picked out as being a cop, right? Like, I'm, dressed in like a dress shirt, button down shirt, like not a bum. We're all dressed up, standing at the bar, sober. How he picked us out and thought we stole his phone was kind of comical, but he did.
Well, what's so funny to say that is it's we just saw not too long ago, and I'm gonna read the comments because people are chiming in, and I want their comments to be heard. We just saw a woman assume that a black boy stole her phone, and she tackled him, right?
Yeah.
So what we're having here is how people look at each other. He came and addressed you guys as a white man to another white man, right? But he might have accused me if it would have been me and 2 other black guys there. He might have said, "Come on, guys, give me my phone," or he might have called the cops. He might have called the cops.
But he did say it over and over again to us. He kept repeating.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is that
he insinuated it straight out that we stole his phone.
I'm not just.
And you're right. He could have said it worse, Bill. He could have said it differently too. But I'm still going with. We are 4 law enforcement members, 4 white guys, 50s. We're not young. We're not kids. We're not. We don't. And he still walked up to us and thought we stole his phone.
Right. Well,
do I think the odds of that happening to me is incredibly small as opposed to you? 100%, Bill. For the one time that happens to me, it happens 30 times to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not an idiot. Like, I'm just saying it does happen in the other direction once in a while, and sometimes the person's just an ass.
And okay, but when you get when you give a scenario, you make it you try to justify the means. You understand what I'm saying? So in essence, like, there's so much disparity between officers of color and white officers. Why is that now? And you see so many different officers of color now speak out like me. Some don't speak out like I do and put myself in the front lines like that, but they have the same feelings from behind the scenes, and totally different from when they were working. A lot of times they didn't say anything, but the thing is, we're not talking about law and order. We're just talking about how people of color being treated. Why do you think that is? If there isn't a problem that a lot of people, officers of color, feel a certain way in comparison to what white officers feel.
Yeah, there's no question, Bill. And my speculation, because zero proof of it, because I worked in the huge police department and it was different, is that NYPD is kind of ahead on the scale of becoming more and more fair and smarter with things. And I would venture to say smaller departments around the country, there's probably a little bit more problems, right? Things like that. Look, if I was police commissioner at NYPD, there would be more testing, meaning, internal affairs would do more sting operations to test cops, to make sure they're treating people the same and fair and not differently based on race or sex or sexual orientation or any of the above or financial status. I'm a big fan of, we don't do enough. I've never heard of a cop, a sting being done in NYPD while we were there, right? Never heard of it. Never, walking into the precinct and asking for help and just testing to see what cops are going to do what. And then, leaving and sending a white guy in there next to test it. Right? I think we should do those things. And I will tell you, if you do it, you will keep people on their toes. And I think it's an important thing to keep people on their toes. Are we going to change racism? No. Are we going to make cops a little bit better doing their job? Yes. You can't just assume everybody's going to do the right thing. There are people who aren't. Some people need.
So then, what happened to the oath that they took? What happened to the oath? Did you hear me? What happened to the oath that they took then? Why take the oath? To protect and serve. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Kevin Branzetti. Did you hear the last thing I said, Kev? Or you didn't? You and me.
This is killing me tonight, Bill.
I know. This is we're going to have to revisit this. Let me just get into some of the comments and stuff like that people said. She says, Alicia said, I think that the public is just looking for some form of accountability. Darren said the cops knew none of this when they pushed him. Stephanie said, is it a double standard because he's a cop? If he was a regular person, he would have been charged criminally. What do you think about that?
You can't say or you speculate double standard if you don't have you show me. It's worth looking at. It's worth looking at if it's happened in the past in different scenarios and seeing.
So, well, let me ask you a question. You and I are working. We're in uniform. We respond to a job of an aided, right? Or we might find out it's assault. When we get there, somebody tells us, yo, 75-year-old man was walking. A young black man was walking. And he pushed the old man. Black man, white man, Spanish man, he pushed him. And he fell and hit his head and started bleeding. Do we lock him up?
So I caught part of that. On the street, and I don't care about the color of this, because young guy pushes an older guy falls over, splits his head open. Yeah, actually he's getting locked up.
For what?
Depends upon the injury.
Well, it'll
probably be an assault 3.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what she's asking. What's the difference?
But see, okay, then Bill, if every time, Bill, how many times did you ever hurt somebody at work? Mm-hmm. Is it an assault?
Listen, I mean,
right? I'm saying, Bill.
Listen,
how many times? I'm not going out to hurt people, but I've hurt some people.
But listen, but see, now we're talking about when I touched a person, it's because we were fighting.
Yeah.
I didn't just push a person just to push him because I was walking down the street.
So those cops are not just walking down the street, right? Those cops are told to clear the street and they're told to march forward.
Who told you that? Who told you?
Look at them. Can you watch that formation? they're moving.
But listen,
They're moving
I
forward.
get it.
It's clearing
I
the
get it.
street. So they're yelling
They're
to clear
sweeping.
the
They're
street.
sweeping the street.
Yeah, they put a hand on the guy. You know, I mean, I guess technically they could have walked past him and then cuffed him and put him in, and locked him up for disorderly conduct and not moving. You know, and then that wouldn't have went over well either.
Okay. Let me read what Vanetta says. She said, "There's never a reason to push an old man to the ground."
You know,
what would have happened?
There's a difference if the guy on the street, right? There's a difference of a guy on the street just walks up to somebody, pushes him, the guy falls and he hurts himself. It's assault. If I'm on the street and I'm walking and I'm trying to make my way into a store or something, or train door, and I push my way past you and you fall, that's not assault. You could fall and split your head open. You could fall, split your head open so bad you die. Well, it's still not a crime.
Well, first, let's be abundantly clear. We're talking. There's a difference between an accident and something intentional. That was an intentional push. That wasn't an accidental push. He didn't accidentally push him. That was an intentional push. So if we're dealing with the comfortable mental state, that's what he wanted to do. You know what I'm saying, Kev?
Yeah, I'm actually Googling.
So okay. I lost some of my posts. People were saying. I saw my man Johnny Eldridge. He typed something in. Oh my God.
I'm going to read assault 3, right? New York State. With intent to cause physical injury to another person, he causes physical injury. So intent is 1, right? There is recklessly. So he recklessly causes physical injury to another person. And with criminal negligence, he causes physical injury to another person by means of a deadly weapon or instrument. So the third one is definitely not. The second one is definitely not. Now I got to look up what reckless is.
So what's reckless? Because we're talking about reckless, because that could have been deemed a reckless move, right?
Yeah, I don't think that still qualifies it. They're clearing the people out. They pushed him to get him out of the way. And he fell. I'm not going to budge on this one. I'm sorry. There's
no. I mean, listen. I disagree with you, and there are people in here that disagree with you. Stephanie says Kevin is just trying to justify the reason for Kevin is just trying to find a reason to possibly justify, and there's none. Alicia said, and Alicia's a cop too. She's law enforcement. She said exactly, Kevin. She said Kevin keeps speculating and saying that we shouldn't speculate.
Well, you can't. Intent is not speculating, right? You have to prove intent. I don't have to disprove intent.
So
if you want to charge somebody, you got to show me intent.
Well, the intent was he meant to push him because he pushed him.
You only thing you have is a video of the cop pushing him. You have nothing to show intent to injure. Nothing.
Okay. All right.
That's where you need statements, interviews. You have nothing there to show intent. There is no intent.
And everybody, I apologize for all your comments and questions that you had. I came out and then I lost them. So I will go to my other device to make sure I will not lose them again in case. This is Real Talk Chronicles, everybody. We talking about what the Buffalo Police Department, what they did, how I felt that, if it was definitely something that I felt if it didn't warrant, it was so high profile. I felt that they damn near should have got fired if they didn't get fired. You know what I'm saying? And if they didn't charge them with criminal act, then listen, you push the old man, the world saw it. And sometimes that's what happens, the bull or the bear. Who knows? If things would have happened, maybe Kevin and I out there in the street doing certain things, if people would have saw it, we might have got fired too. You know what I'm saying? Certain things happening. But right now, you push a 75-year-old man for no reason. And as Kevin deems, they were sweeping the street, mobilizing to clear the block. And the bottom line is, but you see, they had a conversation with them, whatever the little verbiage was, and then they pushed him after.
Yeah, and I'm sure the body cam video, well, if there is body cam, would tell us what that is, and that's part of the stuff you need to hear. But what you're showing me, giving me so far, I don't see a crime.
Well, what if he would have said, "Yo, officers, I think you're the best thing since sliced bread," and they still pushed him?
If they didn't warn him to move out of the way, it's more not. There's more about if they didn't warn him, if they're not trying to clear the block and they're not screaming, go get out. Do we have a crime? I still have a tough one with this.
Okay, well, you could definitely have a tough one. What's up, Lisa Davis in the building? Delcina, I see you. How are you? Stephanie said, if we're speaking in truth, if the cops were Black, Hispanic, or Asian, it would have been a very different outcome. Exclamation point. Alicia said, you're doing a lot of assuming. Yes, you are. All right. So you know what's so funny? We're gonna have to revisit this, and maybe we can get some more data on this. We can come back to it. Let's go to Mr. Andre Hill. We talked about him. It was a man in Ohio that got killed by a law enforcement officer that didn't have his body cam on until after he shot him. What's up, Jet? Fast Hands. How you doing? Can you bring that up, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm working on it.
All right. Yeah. So Andre Hill was killed by the hands of a police officer. Officer approaches. He gets a call of something. I don't recall. When we show the footage, you'll hear what it was. He got a call. Officer approaches the man working on his car, doing something in his home, in a home setting. Like it wasn't like he was somewhere on a desolate street. Officer shoots him, then puts his body cam on.
You and I didn't work in the era of body cams, Bill. This where you're expected to remember every time to put your body cam on when you're in something. I can clearly see that happening where you forget and you.
I get that. I get that, Kevin. But the bottom line is, we didn't. Our split second decisions were more timely than what we're seeing right now. Are you ready for this footage,
Yep.
everybody? So right now we're gonna listen to this case and see and get your take on it.
Tell me when to hit play, Bill.
Hit play, brother.
There's a vehicle out front of my house, right beside of my house, in the street on a curve. It's been out there earlier this evening running, then they shut it off. Now it's back running again. It's been about a half hour.
So right now we have a 911 call for a guy running his car too long.
Put your hands out to the side. Hands out to the side now. Roll to your stomach now. Yeah. Hey, don't get close. I can't see his hand. Get your hand up from underneath you now. We got a medic coming.
Yesterday, I called on Chief Quinlan to relieve Coy of duty, stripping him of his badge, gun, and police powers. After further review of the incident, Today, I am calling for the immediate termination of Coy. Clearly, not having the cameras turned on, not rendering aid are two of the major issues. And that was not done just by one officer, but multiple officers. The refusal or inability, unwillingness to render aid. Clearly, we have a problem that we need to address.
Right beside of my house. And
Play it again. Yeah, play it again,
Yeah.
Kevin.
Been out there
I want
earlier.
to see. You know, one thing I find odd with this, Bill, is they're saying his camera was off, but yet we have his body cam camera on, and then the audio turns on, which is when they say he turns it on. You know, it's an odd time to turn your camera on. It's even, you know, remember at that point when you're fired your shots. As you can see, my internet is dying out here, and so I'm going to kill the video.
All right, maybe start it up again if you can. Everybody, what you saw right now was Officer Coy. He responds to a call of a 911 where a running car that's been running too long. That's not a crime.
That's not a crime, and he shouldn't have been treating it like a crime.
Exactly.
I have a tremendous problem with the shooting.
Right.
Right.
And
Look, do I see the thing when the guy's walking out and his right hand's at his side and it's hard to see from the body cam thing, like what's there? But you know, my God, I can almost understand if he got a call for a burglary, right? And that guy is coming out of the building, supposed to be committing the burglary, and you're a little more hyped up. He's there for a call for a car running. Not even a suspicious car, not somebody looking into buildings, not somebody like it's a car running too long.
First, let me just comment on what you just said. You said you could see that he may have had something to his in his hand to the right. The bottom line, he's not responding to a dangerous job. So the bottom line is, why does he have his gun out?
I have no idea. No idea.
No, but see that just made me say that because you said you saw.
I said, looking at that camera, you could see that
something
the
in his right
strangeness
hand.
of
Like, we live in
the
a world
right hand, and I understand, you know, but I don't understand the gun out. I don't understand the approach. Like, there's no crime here, right? Like, you can't walk up to every civilian on the street with, you know, with my gun drawn.
And that's what. And that's
you need directions. You know, like I don't understand it. It's a bad shooting. There's no question.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I'm not going to sit here and defend it.
Okay. Good.
You know, there's no defense of this one. Like I said, I can understand. Look, there are criminal shootings. There are shootings where cops make a mistake. You know, there are shootings where cops legally can shoot, but I think they shouldn't have shot. And we could go through a few of those scenarios in life.
Well,
So
you know what's so
different
funny? What they said
levels.
about this case, what his lawyer said is that basically we need to look at it from the cop's eye. He didn't know what was in the man's hand.
Yeah, I get that. Again, but if the scenario was a burglary call, you know, and you have, you know, it's, you know, we used to get lots of calls, Bill, and it was anonymous 911 man with a gun on the corner, blah, 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 right? Like, how many times we get those calls? And there's a different level how we treated that call as opposed to 911 call, man with a gun. The call is still on the line. He's saying the guy's walking south on 7th right now wearing a white shirt, right? That's a different scenario, how we treated that. There's no scenario where we get a 911 call for a car accident, a car running too long, a missing kid, where I'm walking out of my patrol car with my gun in my hand.
Exactly.
Right? These are you know, you don't have a gun in your hand. There's no reason. And the man has his gun in his hand. He's got his finger on the trigger.
And he shoots. And the man's in somebody's dwelling. He's in a garage, and you shoot him in a garage. And like, come on, then this is why a lot of us, are looking at it like, cops are.
You asked me what my definition of a bad cop is.
Mhm.
Crystal clear on that one.
There you go. And like Alicia and Stephanie said, he said cops are trigger happy. And Kevin, let's pull up the other video that we
I don't know if we can say cops are trigger happy.
That's a trigger happy
again,
moment
there's
right
800,000 cops. There are tens of millions, hundreds of millions, maybe even the billions of interactions with people. We see the bad like this, and so we think of it. But this guy, Coy, how much time did he have on? How many interactions did he have? Right, like, he wasn't
obviously
one too many is the answer. But if he had 500,000 or 10,000 interactions that he didn't shoot, and he's a bad one, and he was, I can't go with cops are trigger happy. I can't. It's just statistically, it's not there. And I know this will, I'll get some good feedback on that one, but there's 800,000 of us and millions and millions and millions and millions of interactions with people. If we were really trigger happy, we'd be killing people by the thousands every year, by the tens of thousands.
Alicia said, Kevin, if this was an isolated
Bill,
incident,
how many incidents you respond to you working, in your career where a cop shot somebody? They were rare.
Yeah.
Right? Rare. I did 22 years. I was at very few. And when you're at them, you're going to, they're not even like in your precinct, right? Like when we were in the 2-8, how many incidents we have where cops shot somebody? 0?
Yeah.
Right? That's so statistically, even from what we've seen in our careers, it's rare. We've gone to a few in our careers, but it's usually far away. Another precinct, 3 precincts over, because everybody shows up, right? You work in Manhattan North Narcotics, and shooting happens in the 2-8. Every narcotics module showing up in the 2-8, right? That's how it worked. There's not that many. This one is too many. Don't get me wrong. I'm not, defending this. There are instances I'm not going to defend the cop. There are instances where I think cops were inappropriate. I just can't go with they're all trigger happy.
Okay. Alicia said, Kevin, if this was an isolated incident, I would agree with you, but we've seen this too many times. So, she doesn't agree with that. So, that's
I know, and I say Alicia disagrees, and too many times. But give me the statistics on, what number is. They're all too many. One is too many. I'm not going to sit here and argue and tell you that one is not too many. But I am gonna argue with you on trigger happy, and cops are more likely to shoot you. They're just not. It's not.
Yeah. All right, everybody. So this is Real Talk Chronicles. You can see we're talking Buffalo Police Department. We're talking Andre Hill.
A few weeks ago, I lost you.
No, go ahead. I got you.
A few weeks ago, Bill, we talked, I think several weeks, probably a couple of months ago, we talked about the cop down at the Wendy's with the taser. Right? Now that's a shooting, according to the law, justified. Should he have shot? No.
But why was he justified, Kevin? Why do you think he was justified? He was running away.
I think if it's not, it doesn't qualify as criminal, because the guy had the taser, right? And the DA there weeks before called the taser a deadly weapon. They're trained as it's a deadly weapon. I'm not going to let somebody taser me, right? And Bill, let's change the scenario of that thing. You're on the street. A guy points a taser at you. Are you shooting him?
You know what, Kevin? I really don't think so. What's so funny? A taser, first and foremost,
once I taser you, your gun's mine.
Hold on. You asked me a question. The farther the distance, the less effective the taser is. So you know, if we're 12 feet apart and he points a taser at me, maybe I might not shoot him. I might pull my gun
This
out.
is killing me. It's breaking up, Bill. I'm sorry.
Right. So everybody, Kevin asked me if somebody pointed a taser at me, would I shoot him? No, I'm not going to say that. Up close scenario, if I have my ass or something, I mean, I might try to disarm him. I might punch him in his face. I'd rather somebody say, "Yo, this dude is bleeding from the mouth because you knocked 2 teeth out." Yeah, he went to point a taser at me. So yeah, that's a Bill Foster scenario. That's a perfect scenario for me. If somebody goes to reach for a taser and I punch him in his mouth and I knock his fronts out, that's a Bill Foster. Anybody that's worked with me in Bronx Narcotics or the 2-8 would probably confirm that scenario more than me pulling out my gun and shooting him because he reached for the taser. Now, this is where it gets a slippery slope. If he pulls out a taser, are you wrong for shooting him? You see what I'm saying, Kev? Hold on. So if you shoot him, that doesn't make you wrong because it, you can do that. But see, this is where people are trying to find out why. Like we've seen pictures, we've seen videos of white officers not shooting white men, giving them multiple chances, and they're hitting them with stones and bottles and shit. And we're wondering why isn't he shooting him? But the thing is, as soon as there's a black person that's running a car and he gets shot, and then now we don't have body cam footage. So a lot of us are disgusted with people of color getting killed for reasons that are unacceptable, and then we just say because he's law enforcement, or we speculated. And and Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong. The law benefits us more than it benefits people, John and Jane Q. Public, because we have time to articulate ourselves. We can always say he looked like he was doing something. That is 101. I'm protecting I'm CYA. I'm covering my ass. He looked like he was reaching. He had something shiny in his hand. He did this. He did that. He made a different kind of movement. That's 101. Go ahead, Kevin. You're muted. You're muted.
Bill, and the generations of cops before us, had the term of the throwaway gun, right? Like,
exactly.
And was that a myth, or did those things really happen? The generations before us,
we know they weren't
fell down the stairs, right?
Yeah.
There are things, right there. Again, 800,000 of us. It ain't perfect. We need to strive for perfection, but it ain't perfect.
Well,
and we need to call out when things aren't.
I totally get that. What's so funny? We have a thing called a penal law. I mean, not the penal law, patrol guide that is made up of mistakes. Who knows what it looks like now since you and I are gone and Alicia is gone? But the bottom line is they're all mistakes that have been made. So this is a reactionary police department.
Yeah.
I mean, just over the world, not even just NYPD, just over the world. It's a reactionary police department. So anytime a mistake has happened, they try to rectify it, and they justify it with training, or you've been it's an order that a procedure that you're supposed to follow. So the bottom line is, we see procedures still are not followed by a person's ideology and thought process. Now, like you said, if two scenarios, two different officers, you and me, if somebody pulls out a taser, or if somebody if somebody kicks your partner's ass and then runs, and as he's running away, I thought it was told that we don't shoot fleeing felons, right? So the bottom line is that now, and we've already been stated from that case that taser wasn't a threat in the distance that he turned around and shot. So did he shoot because he got his ass kicked? See, let's deal with the human.
It's hard to say, Bill. Does it play into it? Of course it plays into it. Does your adrenaline play into it? All of it plays into it. You know, it is very, very hard. You know, we sit here and you and I talk a lot of these incidents, and we nitpick through them. We nitpick through cops who have terrible tactics and cops who have great tactics. And I can't say in a lot of those scenarios I would have done better 20 years ago. I can't. I'd like to think I would have. But the truth of it is, you know the old saying, any given Sunday, right? Like you can have a bad Sunday, you can have a bad day, and I mean, my tactics wouldn't have been on par, and I would have done something stupid or reacted stupid. I don't know.
Well,
I look at that one, and I said I don't think he should have shot him. Clearly it was a drunk dude. He did slap him around a little bit. He didn't take his taser. I think the approach of running behind them for about 50 yards would have worked really well, because that drunken idiot would have fell down at some point and over. But I think what I could see of that, what I've heard of the law there, I think he's fine criminally. It doesn't, but that's what I'm going with. I think criminally he's fine, but I still don't agree with the shoot. So I'm not, always going to say it's there and it's right. That's why I think there's different categories of shootings, and there are some that fall in that category where I think, I'm trying to think of the other one, but we talked about another one a couple of months ago where you even described it as well as letter to the law. The shooting's fine. We just disagree with it.
Well, I think this is what's happening, and I think shout out to Sammy, Pinky, Alicia said, I see you, Cheddar Brothers. Alicia said that's how it went down back in the day. Today, there are too many cops reaching for their guns when the subject is black. We've seen a huge spike. Alicia said the problem is that the department doesn't hold them accountable either. Shout out to everybody that's watching. This is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Kevin Branzetti. And we're just talking over some issues that are out here we didn't even touch. I'm not going to keep Kevin that long. We didn't even touch about the Capitol and what they did there again, and all the footage that they showed, how old boy and the Republicans got soft. And now he's dogging Mitch McConnell because Mitch McConnell talked against him. We ain't even get into that. We're gonna have, Kevin got to come. Kevin, this is what we do every Wednesday. We talk about politics and law enforcement and stuff like that. But what's so funny, Kevin? This is the thing that I think people of color are tired of. And I'll say, as some people may say, liberals. They're tired of. I think I said what's up to Sammy. Old narcotics partner, or narcotics ranger. We're tired of people justifying shootings that are deemed by department standards fair or adequate, but by people, John and Jane Q. Public, unfair, because the bottom line is we're not seeing people and I say this, you can say this all the time. We're not saying people that are not of color getting shot like this. We could show videos left and right of people of color getting shot. Like I said, Andre Hill, minding his business. You said it's a bad shooting, right?
Yeah.
That bad shooting is bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What's the difference when people of color are looking at shootings now? They're not looking. They're just looking at another person getting shot. They're not even thinking like, Johnny was robbing with the girl with the pocketbook, and he was running and his back was turned. Like you said, you brought it up. You said, dude was in the McDonald's thing and he's running. We all know he worked the cops over, right? It was a fair one.
Yeah, and that goes into things that you and I talk about a lot. Cops are not trained in hand-to-hand combat, and they need to be.
Yeah, he runs. Now he's running. Yeah, he turned and pointed a taser. Have we seen tasers not working?
Yeah,
but this officer, in a mind, ego is involved, feelings hurt, ass whipping, lip swollen. He shoots. Does it become over the department? It's justified, yeah, because he had a taser and he pointed, and the taser is used as an instrument. Okay, we got it. But is it really justified? Dude, because some of us could look back in the time and say, well, listen, you could have let money go. He sat there and gave you a whole story of why he was drunk, his girlfriend and problems and stuff like that. And the cops was just worried. One cop was just worried about the arrest. Oh, was he behind the wheel? Which was a valid arrest. It was a valid arrest.
Like, there are a lot of robots out there. The drunk driving thing.
Yeah.
Where we work, Bill, we rarely saw or made a drunk driving arrest. A lot of jurisdictions, that's all they're about, right? Like,
exactly.
And that's what they're told to do, and that's what their bosses make them go out and do. And I understand that, and that's the legit arrest, right? You can't drive drunk. But
I want you to get that.
I'll go back to that scenario, and they should have let the guy run a little bit. Follow him, run with him. He's a drunken guy. I think 50 yards, he would have ran out of breath.
Even worse in case scenario, he said he was drunk. They could have drove him home, parked his car, because we know a lot of officers have done that in the past.
Sure, but we don't know that place, right? So we know we would have done that. Can you do that today in NYPD? No, you'll lose your job. You're risking your job. No. So was there a day you could drive the person home? Was there a day you can make him call? You can call a cab for him, let him call a friend. 100%. That day is gone.
Steph said, "Damn, we didn't even discuss the rise in subway crime." We're going to touch on that, Steph, real quick before it's all over. Yeah. I have one more thing I want to talk to Kevin about, and we're going to get that. She said, "That's right, Bill. We are sick and tired." Alicia said, "This is the type of dialogue that officers and PD leadership should be having with the public in a controlled, constructive way." Absolutely. That's why everybody, I tell you out there, Real Talk Chronicles, we discuss the things that a lot of people are afraid to have the conversation about. So if you like it, share it. That's the only thing I ask of you, from besides spending your time with Kevin and I, or me doing any of the podcasts that I do. Julio, my old childhood brother, what's up? I see you, brother, in the building. So Kevin, can you bring up that last video that I think I sent you, where the woman comes home to a burglary, breaking an entry, and the two white men are in her apartment, and the cop is asking them questions like it's their house. And the discrepancy with this case right now, everybody that we're out here talking, is that the fact that
I'm gonna go find the video. I'll need a sec.
Yeah, okay, because I know I texted to you. But this story we're about to show you right now is that two white men break in a woman's house, a woman of color, a black woman. She calls the police. She comes home. She sees dudes in the house. They even put on her ex-boyfriend's clothes, take a shower, all the shit in the house, right? She comes home. She sees him. She steps back out, calls the police. Yo, dude's in my house, broke in my house. You can see by the door, it's broken in, right? You'll see footage later on that they went and it was trying doorknobs. The officer comes in and he gives them a Q&A. Well, do you live here? What's the apartment number? And she's like, yo, I'm telling you, dudes broke in my house. Why are you sitting there questioning them like this is some domestic violence shit? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is a love thing. And the officer's telling her to shut up, be quiet. He doesn't say shut up. He says, miss, be quiet. So her whole thing is, if this was a white woman and there were two black people, they would have came in, cuffed them, and locked them right up, and then they would have dealt with it later. When I spoke to Kevin initially about it, he said, unusual burglary, but he didn't. He said they eventually got locked up, so he was cool with that. What I'm trying to show is that there's a problem with how different nationalities are treated. This is why we have such a big problem within law enforcement. If you don't see color, then you will treat people accordingly. You will treat people with equality. We're not treating people with equality. People of color are not getting treated with equality. And the beautiful thing about people of color, and everybody knows I equate the Latins and African Americans together. I don't separate. Anything, anybody knows me, I don't separate. So when I see a Latin, I see an African American. When I see a Black, I see a Latin. So I say all that to say, because this is probably the one nationality culture that you can have a light-skinned person, damn near white as the sky, and a person dark as the night, and they still be the same ethnicity, right? They still be the same culture. And with that being said, it is what it is, right? So we need to understand and stop hating on that aspect. But we want people to look at us with all fairness and transparency. You know, Stephanie said, wow, not even the same mess. Yep, exactly. The level is astonishing. Yep. Audacity is astonishing. This is why a lot of people don't even bother to call the police during emergencies. You're right. Why is it unusual? It's because you don't think that white people commit burglaries. Exactly. Well, we're going to get Kevin to show this, Colin. And shout out to my main man, Colin, in the building, everybody. It's always good to see him, along with a lot of you. So avid supporters. I appreciate you so much. This is Real Talk Chronicles I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Kevin Branzetti. And we're just talking about a bunch of issues that we're trying to bring to the light. Alicia, there's a huge problem with assumptions that officers make about people of color. We have to be willing to acknowledge the reality if we want to race relations to improve. Absolutely. We definitely got to do better. Look, Kevin, look back in the text that I sent you. Did you get it might be in the Kevin and Kevin text.
Yeah, no, it's there. I'm just trying to find it online now because I don't have Instagram. That's what you sent it to me on. So I'm trying to find the video.
No, I texted to you.
Instagram.
Oh, that's right. I got you. I got what you're saying. Right.
Yeah, I try to limit my social media life.
Well, that's what happens. That's what all you studs do. Let me stop. No, I'm just playing. Everybody, how are you? If you have topics, if you have issues that you want us to talk about, like I said, Stephanie, crime in the subway, I'm going to have some people running for city council, so maybe people running for borough president, people running for mayor coming up. We're going to talk about, should we have, Kevin, let me ask you a question while you look for that stuff. I don't know if I know you can chew gum and walk at the same time. I know you can. I've seen you do it. Do you think there should be police back in the subway system like it used to be? I guess he can't. Everybody, let me stop. I'm playing. He's looking for that footage. Stephanie said, "What year are you living in? You don't have Instagram? What's wrong with you? You know?" Exactly. You don't have to reply to her. Tell us you're a little dinosaur. You know what I'm saying? But let me see if I'll pull it up. Hold on, everybody.
Hey, give it a shot, Bill. I got to surrender on it at the moment.
Hold on.
Alicia, I see the comment about, we need more dialogue with police and leadership and public. And, clearly me and Bill are with you on that. Yeah. But as cops, we're taught not to talk. We're not allowed to talk. We're not allowed to be public.
But what's so funny? That's a shame that because we've always been silenced and we've been taught, like I've always had times when something happens, people will say, "Oh, well, you never Monday morning quarterback a police officer." Well, why the hell not? We Monday morning quarterback. There's people getting paid millions of dollars to Monday morning quarterback, law enforcement. I mean, not law enforcement, football players, stuff like that. Because it's always been perpetuated that law enforcement is always right. Always right. You don't want to talk against law enforcement. You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem that we have here. That we don't want to be judged. It's like, yo, I did it. Whether it was an accident or not. I mean, Kevin, think about it. There's been a lot of times officers have done something and we'll say in the precinct, we're like, yo, he effed up, you know, but
Yeah.
people don't say it out loud, you know.
No,
I mean,
but
think about even with Kenny Boss, you know what I'm saying? We all worked with him, you
yep.
know. I was there the night Diallo got shot. You know, nobody ever wanted to work with him again. He got his guns back, right? Because he went to war, so he became this military person, or he was already this military person, and he uh uh, uh he fought for his guns. Like how can he not have his guns with NYPD, but he can go to serve his country? Well, dog. Well, you know, I don't know. You know, you're serving your country. I mean, he's the same dude that got slapped around by the Johnson brothers on 119th Street, right?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I can't hold that against him. But no, look, was it a mistake to give him his guns back? Yeah. Any way you look at it, it's a bad shooting, right? All right, they're acquitted, they're not fine, but you shot an unarmed man, right? Like, you know, the court system and the jury decided you were in it, you didn't mean to murder somebody, and that's something. That's it. We have to accept that answer.
Well.
But you
Remember,
can't give.
they took the court system upstate. They
Yeah,
didn't do it in New York State.
and I'll argue that's, you know, part of the problem. We've learned that if you're going to hold lots of protests about something, the venue's going to get moved. It's just the nature of the beast. It's not the first, it won't be the last time that happens. But I don't want to get into the venue should have been moved. Should he have gotten his guns back, Bill? No. You know, I'll go into, like I said before, there are categories where a cop has and that's not we have criminal shootings, we have bad shootings, we have mistaken shootings. If you mistakenly shoot somebody, and that's not a mistaken one, I'm not talking Diallo, you don't deserve to have your guns back. Like, you shot somebody, right? It's the ultimate thing. You might not deserve to be fired, you might not deserve to be arrested, but I don't see a scenario where you ever deserve your gun back.
So what in your Constitution? I'm waiting for Malika to come up. But in your mind, what constitutes a firing? Because it's obviously shooting people by mistake is not one of them. So
Well, it depends on the mistake in the
constitutes
scenario. So I'll give you a scenario I was in, right? Narcotics team. I won't name the detective's name, but you know, we did a buy and bust, 119th Street, 5th to Lenox. This detective usually did the walk on first, right? And so myself, I think it was Jimmy. We're in a car, and a couple of us were in cars. So the detective does the walk on past the dealer. That's what he's supposed to do. We're going to drive up the block. We'll get out of our cars. If the dealer goes to run, he's already there in the spot. The cop was a real good guy, very eager. Had more time on than I did. The subject ran into the apartment building. He ran in after him, had him against the wall, had a gun in his hand. The guy moved just a little bit, so we'll call him Bobby. Bobby squeezed his hand to hold him tighter against the wall. When he squeezed his left hand, his right hand holding his gun, pointing properly away from anybody, but at the floor, goes off. He fires a shot. The bullet ricochets off the floor, the opposite wall, and then comes above Bobby's head and hits the wall. Now Bobby thinks he's being shot at from behind and fires a few more rounds at the person behind him that he thinks is shooting at him. Nobody's ever hit. You know, does Bobby deserve to go to jail? Does Bobby deserve to be fired? Does Bobby deserve to lose some time? Does Bobby deserve to be suspended and, you know, retrained? You know, and that's a real life scenario. It was there, happened. You know, things can happen on the street. You know, you can have a legit accident, a legit mistake. You know, in his scenario, I was grateful that, you know, no bullet hit anybody. Not as grateful as he was, because he was really upset afterwards. But what do you do?
Yeah. As Malika tries to get this Yeah, you're right. I mean, I've worked with people, and they've had poor, shooting refrigerators and all kind of things and stuff. But hey,
And a shout out to Mark. I'm going to say thank you for his last comment. He appreciates the two of us. Doesn't agree with me sometimes, but he respects my opinion. He can make fun of my shirt, and then he can respect me. We're doing all right tonight.
Absolutely, everybody. This is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host Kevin Branzetti, and we are Real Talk Chronicles, and we're just trying to get to the light of some things that are happening. And shout out to all of you that are out here supporting us. My lovely wife is in here now.
Or was it in your messages?
Yes, it's right here. Where is it though? Who sent it to me?
Would you
like me to send it back to you?
No, I got it right now. I'm gonna find it right now. So we're gonna get right into it right now.
Just keep talking.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
There it is. So yeah, everybody. This scenario we found it. What we're gonna post. Thank you, Kevin. We're gonna post a story about a woman that comes home.
Which one? Do you see it?
I'll see it when she comes home.
And I got to say, this is Bill's putting that up. This is a rare week between Bill and myself, where Bill sent me a couple of these things beforehand. Normally, he likes to just throw things at me spontaneously, so I actually had time for a change to review them, see them, fight with Bill a little bit during the week about them.
Yeah.
5 days ago.
Yes.
And then come on and talk about it. So it was nice to have a little prep morning.
A little prep, right? I gave you some insight into what I was trying to get, and I apologize, everybody. This is we're just hey, here it is. We got it now. So
make sure when you're hitting the share the video, when it comes up, you'll see at the bottom of the screen there's a little button you got to click to share the audio with it.
Got you.
So after you hit share screen, it comes up later on.
Got you.
And you could share your whole screen, or you can share a Chrome window tab.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah.
All right. So
are you able to see it now?
I see 6 different Instagram things on the screen.
Okay.
Now
all right, everybody. This is going enhance it. Yeah, and it's bottom right here. Take the mute off. Yeah.
What is wrong with y'all? And he's really questioning them like it's a fucking anything. Can you get these fucking people out of my house now?
Let's see if we can go back to the.
Get out of my house.
All right.
Hey, arrest them now. Get off of my shit. You're idiot, fool. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? And he's really questioning them like it's a fucking anything. Can you get these fucking people out of my house now?
Malika.
It got me a little rough. What's up, girl? Was it you?
Yeah, that's my apartment. Yes, the fuck it is. You're tripping.
Okay, what apartment number is this? It's 4B. I don't. What are you talking about?
Do you know your apartment number?
Yeah, I'm shady. This is
He broke the fucking door.
Number. What's that apartment number?
Is somebody else in here too? Yo, get them out my house. Get out my house. Get out my house.
Ma'am, stop. What apartment number? I want you to tell me what the apartment number is.
Man, arrest them now. Arrest them now. Arrest them. I don't even fucking know you. Get the fuck out of my house. My kid shit is here. Where's my cat? No, look at the door. You broke in the door. You don't have a key to live here. You're just chilling on the couch. Get off of my shit! You're idiot, fool. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? Yo, and he's really questioning them like it's a fucking, like, anything. Can you get these fucking people out my house now? It is 2 whole men in there. Now. Get out. Like, what the fuck? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? Talking about he Shanique. He Shanique. That means he been all in my shit, bro. Who the fuck are these people? Like, I swear to God, like, this complex right here.
All day yesterday.
And I'm so glad, because what if they would have came in here? Why the fuck I was in here?
Yeah.
And I was by myself. I'm glad I stayed at your house, bro. I'm so glad I stayed at your house. I'm so fucking glad I stayed at your house, bro. Like, get him the fuck out. Get him the fuck out. I don't even know who that fucking is. They whole crackheads. Obviously. Who the fuck? I don't know these white people. If it was black people, they were fucking. They in my house. I don't know these people.
I dropped her off. She goes to her house with her keys. And it's chairs put up at her door, and people are in there on her couch eating her food.
I'm not, but they're in there questioning them like that's their shit. Get them the fuck out my house. If they were fucking black, they'd be fucking dead.
Are they still sitting?
They're in my house.
Yeah, they all still in the house.
I'm recording.
In the door, it was open, so it did like that.
Shanae Porter says when she arrived home at her Briar Creek apartment Tuesday morning, she walked into a nightmare.
What's up, girl? Was it you?
Yeah, that's my apartment.
2 men she did not know lounging in her home, eating her food, wearing her ex-boyfriend's clothes. She says one of them even took a shower. A neighbor's doorbell cam shows 2 strange men the night before twisting doorknobs in the breezeway. Shanae says her door was locked, but somehow they got in. And when Shanae came home, the young mom was terrified.
I just looked at him and I said, "Who are you?" And he started coming towards me, and I hurried up and closed the door. I didn't know what to think, what to say. I was so speechless. I never seen anything like this before.
Emotions took a new turn when Raleigh police respond to Shanae's call to 911. Officers question the intruders. Shanae and her neighbors angered and confused on what they see as a lack of urgency from police. The suspects in her apartment were both white. Shanae calls it a double standard.
If I was a white woman and I called and said it was 2 black intruders in my house, I feel like they would have had them out my house immediately.
Do you know your apartment number? Yeah, I'm Shady. This is your number. I want you to tell me what the apartment number is.
Man, arrest them now. They're in my house.
She's a victim, and I want to see it treated like a victim situation. There is a foreign man in her home.
That's why we had him detained in there. You have to understand, there's actually 2 of them in there.
Get them detained outside. You can be detained outside.
At this point in time, what's safest for us and every single person out there is to deal with them in that situation, detain them, and then bring them out afterwards.
I called you for help and you go talk to them like there's, like good people. Like they just broke into my house. I don't even feel safe with calling the police anymore because it's like you never know.
So 35-year-old Charles Mary and 45-year-old Brian Capel were both eventually arrested, each man charged with breaking and entering. They remain in the Wake County Jail tonight. We did ask RPD about Shanae's allegation that her case was treated differently because of the race of the suspects. We didn't hear back about that aspect of the case. In Raleigh, I'm Joel Brown, ABC 11 Eyewitness News.
Get out of my house.
Stop.
Arrest them now. Get off of my shit.
You're eating your food? Like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all?
And he.
Okay. Yeah, well, everybody, so that's what you saw. Okay. Well, yes, everybody. There's Kevin at the stream. So, everybody, what's your take on that? Kev, what's your take on that, man?
So I'll say it first. This is not your average burglary, right? In your career, how many times have you responded to a burglary where the person was sitting there pretending they lived there? So it's an odd scenario, right? Normal burglary calls. Somebody's in there, they're, stacking things up to pile up to get out of the house, and it's a different thing. So these two, I think it's two people were in there, right? In the end, were living, took a shower, ate, watching TV, put the clothes on. It falls into a little bit different than your normal burglary scenario. I don't have much of an issue on how it was handled. In the end, the two guys were arrested. The cops locked them up. She's very upset, and I get she's upset. There's people in her home. They're lucky she wasn't a licensed gun carrier and had a gun on her, because, Bill, it's a different scenario. She walks into her house and sees two people in there.
She'd have busted cap in their
Justified
ass.
in
And that's what
shooting
Stephanie just said. North Carolina is an open carry state. Now, had she popped them, she would she have been wrong? No, Stephanie, she would have been right. But people would have said she probably jumped the trigger. Colin said, let's immediately flip the switch. See, Kevin, I always have this conversation with what's deemed right or what's politically said right in comparison to how people have treated. Let me tell you something. I don't think you can sit here and honestly say, if that was a white woman and she would have said there was two black men in her house, they would have ran in there and put cuffs on them and then questioned them. That's what I think this black lady is saying. That the fact of it is, I'm telling you, they broke in my house. And you're sitting there asking him 21 questions. Like, what's the apartment number? So in essence, and this is what I always say all the time, where it's about equality. And when we see a certain person of color, or we see our own color, there's a certain de-escalating energy that we portray. That white officer saw two white men in the house.
No, here's the part of the scenario.
I'm only talking facts. I'm not talking fiction.
Yeah, no, I got you. You were talking facts. I got that.
I'm talking
The
facts.
part of the scenario I don't know is, and I'd love to know is, see, to me, I'm listening to them talk. They're asking the guy inside, is this because the people inside are saying we live here, right? That's what it seems like. So they're asking, what's the apartment number?
Wait a minute.
Right? They're trying to verify.
Wait a minute. Did you hear him say that?
You got to make sure there isn't some dispute going on.
Wait a minute, Kevin.
Did
but
they
you just
ask
added
her
that
beforehand? I don't know if they talked to her beforehand and got like her license. It says, yeah, this is my apartment. If they did that, then I have a problem, right? If she just said to them, that's my house, the door's broken, there's people in there, and then they go inside and these guys are sitting there watching TV, eating chips, and they're saying this is our house. Now you as a cop, you got to do your due diligence and talk to them and figure out who's right.
Did you add that they said this is my house, or you heard that?
I'm losing you.
No, don't lose me now. Catch me.
Gotcha. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to lose you, Bill.
No, did you hear Did you hear them say this is my house, or is that what you're just speculating on?
Well, I heard them asking what apartment number is this.
Yes.
So there's a reason they're asking that. Yes, I'm speculating why they're asking that, right? That's an investigative question. What apartment
That's what I'm saying.
This?
The officer just asked that. They didn't say I live here. The officer just went into 21 questions because they were comfortable. They looked comfortable. There wasn't that urgency like the light comes on, roaches run, or the mouse leaves the house. It wasn't that kind of energy that they portrayed. So that's what the whole thing was. So maybe, okay, let's play. You want to play devil's advocate? Did that throw the officer off? The fact that, wait a minute, they didn't reach for a knife or something like that. The bottom line is, she says, yo, these cats broke in my house. Like, what is the thing? Stephanie, they said they lived there, Stephanie? Just send me a thumbs up or a yes. That's what they said? Collins, what you said, two white burglars are immediately discredited, the black woman. Exactly. Oh, Stephanie said the burglar said, "I live here." Oh, okay, Kevin. So you're right. The burglar said, "I live here." You know, I actually agree with Kevin. I would have wanted to know, did the cops ask for identification from the man and the woman to determine who actually lived there? So let me ask you a question, Alicia, and I'm gonna ask you this, and I'll ask Kevin this. So because
I got Alicia one. Woo-hoo.
yeah, you got Alicia backing you on it. So basically, Jane Doe says somebody broke in my house, right?
This is
So
killing me, Bill.
so when we come in the house, the fact that when we enter, because it's obviously the guns are not drawn, right? He's coming in there very soft for a burglary. The guns are not drawn, and he goes in there and he sees two white men that are not aggressive with him, right? For whatever reason, they're not aggressive. Cool. And he opens up dialogue. Who are you? Now, I'm not questioning his tactics on the point of that the fact that he didn't have his gun drawn, because he could have. He could have had his gun drawn. I can question his tactics then on that point. Well, wait a minute. We're talking about a burglary. So burglaries are not soft offensive crimes. They're not like, violations. It's a burglary. You know what I'm saying? That's a felony. So now he comes in and he's questioning them like this is a domestic violence situation or a relationship where, she kicked them out. He's asking them what's the apartment number. So the funny thing about this, he's opening up an investigation where he's like, so what happens if they would have known the apartment and they would have said 1K? He would have went back to say, well,
you would have kept going, right? You're doing it, but they didn't, right? Like they didn't even know what apartment they were in. They were doing their due diligence. They locked them up. If they would have put her in cuffs while talking to them, massive problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
No issue. Could they? You're right. Could they have walked in the cops with their guns drawn? 100%. Could they have walked in and cuffed everybody in there? 100% they could have. They chose this tactic, and I can't blame them or question them. Can you say they would have acted differently if the colors were all spun and different? Maybe, but we don't know these two cops.
Okay. So you think it's really you really think it's about the cops, or it's not about the color? So you're thinking about, I see, because me, I think we see time and time again it's about the color and not the cops. I think I think you might have walked in that apartment. I don't see Kevin Branzetti sitting there having a Q&A with these guys. I see Kevin Branzetti putting them in cuffs first. Right? Now, does Kevin Branzetti put black cops in the cuffs first? Yes, I see that. Does Kevin Branzetti put these white guys in cuffs? Yes, I see Kevin Branzetti maybe putting them in cuffs because he heard it's a burglary. But now the bottom line is because I'm putting them in cuffs. If you tell me, some guys broke in your house, and I come in that house, and you're telling me they're still there, I'm coming in else. This is the reason for me to put my hand on my gun. I'm not. He wanted, the way he was questioning them, and this is from what we saw. He was questioning them like this was a domestic relationship that went wrong.
But it was like I said, Bill. This is not your normal burglary, right? Normal burglaries, people don't break in to go live in your home, right? They're not taking a bath. They break in to steal. So when you see they're watching TV, right? They're just hanging out. So now, like, you kind of go as a cop, going, "This is weird," So yes, have you ever had a domestic incident where people are roommates and one's tossed one out, and and now you get back in? Yeah. Do those scenarios exist? Of course they do.
Well, we have to go with if there's ever room for speculation. Yes, and Alicia, that's what happened. And hey, Cheryl, what's going on? Did the cops speak to the woman before entering the apartment? Yes, Alicia. God bless you. this scenario, and Alicia, I'm gonna send it to you. The case and scenario of this is that the woman called the police and said people broke into her apartment and they're still in there. Right? The cops come and then they start going into a Q&A. You understand what I'm saying? So you're right, Alicia. Alicia said I responded to a burglary and never doubted the victim. Kevin, and
Me
this
too.
is what I'm trying to
Me
say.
too.
Yeah.
So have I. I've gotten to, it was a weird one chasing the perp, who jumped out the back window. But yeah, and I never had a chance to ask for ID, or maybe I did. I don't remember. It still was an odd scenario. The person was living
unequivocally.
there.
This was one of the weirdest cases you're going to see in a long time.
And the bottom line is the cops arrested them. They didn't, while they weren't paying any attention to the homeowner, she was outside screaming at them. They didn't treat her badly. They didn't, curse at her. They clearly didn't cuff her. They handled the way they felt. They handled the way they felt they needed to handle it, and they arrested who they should have arrested, and didn't mistreat anybody.
So let me ask you a question. Your whole thing is at the end of the story, it's a happy ending. You're not looking at how the movie had its ups and downs. You're not looking at the fact that.
But we're looking at a fact pattern of one incident, one afternoon with two cops. I'm not going to judge them for saying that if the people inside were black, they would have cuffed them. I mean, I'm not going to declare that these cops are prejudiced.
I didn't. No, you never heard me say that. You never heard me say that.
No, but if we're saying they would have acted differently if the people inside were black, we're then saying they're prejudiced. I mean, that's what that is.
No, we're saying they're biased.
If I treat,
we're saying
okay,
biased.
We can use bias. We can use racist. We can use any way you look at it. I can't call them biased on this.
Why? Because
there's nothing to compare it to.
But why does it have to be a comparison? Because let me tell you something. If don't what do they always tell us? First impressions are last forever. Yeah. So if I wait a minute, hold on. If you meet somebody in a store, black cashier, right? Spanish cashier, and you have an interaction and they say something like, "Oh, you people," or something like, whatever, white people do this. What's your impression of them from that point?
They're prejudiced against me.
Right?
But you said,
no, wait a minute.
Wait a minute. The white people.
Yeah, hold on. Wait a minute.
Okay, I'm waiting.
Why would you call them prejudiced? Because you don't have anything to compare them to. That's what you just said.
I don't need a comparison because of the statement made.
Well,
you gave a statement on race about me, that she said a statement about race about me. So that's there. You've given a statement. Okay. I don't need the comparison. Bill, if I woke up to, so a white guy walks up to you and calls you the N-word, I don't need a comparison. Right. His statement says it all. It's crystal clear.
Okay, so I gave you an absolute right here. We don't know how this officer treated other cases. Yeah. Because it was obvious that he never had a scenario probably that way.
Not many cops have. That's
a fact. No. That's a real talk. But the bottom line is he didn't act with the urgency of it being a burglary. Can we agree with that?
I'm sorry, bottom line, what burglary?
He didn't act with urgency of it being a burglary.
No, it didn't seem to, though.
The other officers running up to the scene reacted on the title of the crime.
In the video, do we see when the cop first enters the place?
Yeah.
Do we?
Well, what I'm saying, he's in there. She's taping.
We see him in there. Do we see him enter?
No.
So I'd love to see that part of this, right? Like I want to see when he gets there, the quick conversation or long conversation or any conversation with her. Maybe there was none. I don't know. And him entering, it'd be intriguing. But still, to me, the bottom line is they chose a tactic You and I might disagree, and a lot of people out there might disagree with the tactic, and that's fine, because clearly they can go in there with their guns drawn. No ends, ifs, or buts. Could have cuffed everybody in there. No ends, ifs, or buts. All good.
Well, I mean, Kevin,
They chose the tactic that they chose. They arrested the proper people. They didn't mistreat her.
Well, first, let me just say this: we've seen search warrants, right? And I'm sure you've been on enough, and I've been on enough, and I've been in on enough search warrants to see almost every scenario that I probably didn't want to see. That I've seen old people get cuffed, and the old people don't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. But the bottom line is, what's the procedure? Search warrant, everybody gets cuffed, and then we sort it out later, right?
Yep.
In a burglary, when do we go in there and we play? A burglary is, she's the complainant. 2 men are in my house. They broke into my house. Just because they sitting there with their shoes off, don't mean it ain't a burglary.
Well, we don't even know if they talked to her beforehand. The video starts with the cops already inside.
She says she called though.
Right?
She had to talk to him.
No, I don't know if there was this 911 call, break in apartment 9J. The cops responded, went into 9J.
So let me ask you a question.
I don't know.
Now that's the BS right there. Why would we not think she didn't talk to him? I mean, just help me out.
I heard BS and lost you.
I said, why would we think she didn't talk to him? Why do we not give her the benefit of a doubt? Why do we hold her to such a standard that she didn't do it? You know what I'm saying? Now that's the BS right there. That's where people are like, wait a minute, come on. Why would a woman call and say, people broke into the cops and not speak to the cops? You know what I'm saying? She called. Why would we think she didn't say, there's two men in my house? Now, if she would have said white men, did that make the cops say, oh, okay, let me find out what's going on? If she would have said there's two black cops, two gangbangers in it. If she would have said two Bloods, two Crips. If two triads, with the cops going in there differently? So, okay, we don't have that verbiage before that, but the bottom line is, why would we not think that she didn't stand outside and tell them the dude was there?
But
you know what I'm saying?
Look, they chose, whether we could go to the scenario she said to them, she could have given the full description of them. I don't know. She could have said nothing. I don't know. Right. They chose a tactic they chose. They arrested the right people, and they didn't do anything to disrespect her.
So
we're offended
let me
by
ask you a
this.
question.
You're being offended by this because
this is where we're different. Do you think the fact that the lack of urgency that they took in handling the situation wasn't disrespectful to her? She's the complainant.
They handled it. I still got to go with Bill. The complainant doesn't dictate how I handle the job.
We got a summation at the end.
The complainant doesn't dictate how I handle a job. You ever let a complainant dictate to you how a job is handled, Bill?
Absolutely not.
Never.
I let the but do we let
do it?
But hold on. Do we let the job? Do we let the job handle
our training, our ability handle it? But we never let a complainant tell us which way it goes.
Do we let the job dictate how we respond?
Of course we do. Yeah, of course we do.
So the job came over as a burglary.
So it's like in this scenario, the first scenario of tonight, there's no way in hell I would have had my gun out, nor would you have you. This scenario, could we have? Yes. Is there, a scenario where I wouldn't have had my gun out? Maybe. I've responded. You don't really respond to too many burglaries, right? And especially in progress. We respond to mostly burglaries after the fact, right? Someone comes home, it's burglary in the past. And that may be the reason they walked in like that. They're like, look, I tell you what, me and Eddie, 100 years ago, burglary in the past, complainants in the house. We're talking to them. I'm filling out the report. And Eddie's like, let's just look around. And I'll give Eddie credit. The guy was on the fire escape. We wound up, we chased him around the block. We caught him, or what have you. But, so I don't know how they went and how they responded, but I still can't complain about it because they chose a tactic. It was what they felt was right for them at that time. They arrested the right person. They didn't disrespect her. They didn't, mouth off to her. Like I said, they didn't cuff her. They didn't do anything. I can't, I can't, we can't nitpick the heck out of everything every cop does. There's enough bad things out there. There are enough problems we all have. I just can't nitpick the heck out of them.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's what real talk is. That's what we're doing. We nitpicking this shit right here. So, like, Alicia said, she said, if they were met by the victim entering the apartment and still entered casually, they put themselves at risk. Cheryl said they knew a woman. Shout out to Cheryl. Thank you for jumping in. They knew a woman reported the break-in. When they entered, the men should have been cuffed and questioned. That's my take on it, Cheryl. Pam, shout out Pam. I think there are too many unanswered questions. You're right. So my point of it is, like, we've been taught certain things, Kevin, and I'm gonna be transparent. We go to a domestic violence case. What they used to tell us to do when we get to the case, go quiet and put our ear to the door and see if we see yelling, or some stuff, just to come in a certain way, right? That way, that can, boom, we know how to handle this. We go to a domestic violence and we don't hear any yelling. It's a little now we can. Who is it? Police. You know what I'm saying? We go to a place. Yo, bitch. Psh, 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 psh. Boom, boom, boom. Police, open up. Right now, all I know is that Jane Q. Public called situation. Cops respond. What's wrong, miss? There are two men in my house.
We don't know
I'm
that
only
part.
ad-libbing because I didn't hear
We don't know that part, Bill. We don't
Huh?
know if she spoke to the cops. See, you're speculating that part. We don't know if she spoke to the cops.
But why
before
wouldn't
they
I
went
think
in.
she did? Why wouldn't I think she did?
She might not. She may have called from her friend's house. We don't know if she was there.
No, she was there.
The video starts with the cops already in. We have no idea what happened.
But then when
beforehand.
you heard later, when she had the interview, she said, "I came home and opened the door and I saw them, and then I came back out and I called the cops."
Yeah, she called the cops. It doesn't mean she
She
was
didn't say
there
I
when-
went across town and called the cops.
No, but she didn't say I talked to the cops either.
So you're making the cops. You're protecting the cops. Why would you give a scenario that we don't know what she did? Why would you give that?
You just gave
that's
you just
protecting
gave a
the cops.
scenario. Bill, I can go either way with this, right? I don't know if they did or didn't talk with her, and I have no issue if they did or didn't. They chose a tactic. They went in. They did their quick investigation. They arrested them.
So
nobody was
at the end of at the
you
movie.
know,
everybody walks home safe. Shane, okay, I get it.
Bill, I can't sit here and just nitpick out of these guys. We don't know if those two cops are Kevin and Bill, or if those two cops are, Dumb and Dumber. Like, we don't know them at all. So all I saw was, they're in the apartment. They did their investigation. They arrested them. I know she ain't happy. They're very, very lucky. Because we talked earlier.
Well.
If that was you or I coming, home,
going
I'm not
off the
backing out
premise.
the door. I'm not backing out the door, right? You and I come home, and our front door's broken in. We're going right through the door.
Well.
We can.
Let me just say this: we can only go off of what right now, what we see and what we've been told.
Sure.
I didn't add to this video. All I heard is what the woman said. What she said. Came home. Two men were in her house. She called the police.
Yeah.
Right. Only thing she says that she's glad that she spent the night at her girlfriend's house, because what happens if they would have broken if she was been there?
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I do know. That I know she was upset that the officer was sitting there questioning him like that was her boyfriend, and they had an argument. So what the picture is painted is that she's upset because she felt that the officers didn't act with urgency to get these men out of her place. What the officer said is that we had them contained. Okay, yeah, you had them contained, but you didn't put them in cuffs. You sat there and made a Q&A. So what we're trying to say is that, and what a lot of people are saying is that if the scenario was different, like Colin said, a lot of other people said if the scenario was different, they would have been cuffed automatically and then had to prove their innocence. They proved their innocence.
We don't know
and
that.
Then,
and I know your head's gonna drop, and I know it was gonna get the eye. We don't know these two cops. You can't tell me.
I can only go by what I saw. I can only go by what I saw.
So now you're going into a complete speculation that these two cops would have acted completely different if everybody's skin color was different.
No, I didn't say that.
I can't call these guys biased.
What I said is that the cops didn't do something because the skins were different. Because they proved that. I didn't prove it. They showed it me. I didn't.
You can't tell me that, but you're still saying because of the skin. You're still going with they're biased.
But why are you not going with that?
Because there's nothing to show me that they're biased.
Well, what did you see?
One incident.
I can play it again for you. I mean,
you can play it 100 times, Bill. But you'd have to show me how they treated people of color in a scenario where they could have cuffed them and how they acted for me to go that this was biased. They may have done the same thing if it was two black guys in the apartment.
Kevin, we only go on first impressions. The first impression that we've seen of these officers is what we just saw. I don't know these officers. Let me tell you something, Kevin. We can have. I guarantee you could have found officers that have said Volpe was a good officer, was a good guy until he stuck that stick in that man's behind. We can say so what you're saying is that until I see different, I have to think that you're a good guy.
But you're telling me that then the cops just can't win, right? Because
I'm not in here for the cops to win. I'm in here for
no, but I mean they did their job. They arrested the right person. You may not agree tactically with it, but you're saying that they're biased, that they're prejudiced, and they would have been treated differently. And
what I'm saying is what she's saying. I'm saying.
Well, you're saying that she's saying it, and I get it. She's saying it. She's a victim, and she's upset, and she's allowed to be. I got no issue with her saying it.
And that's what I'm saying, that they should have came in there. Now, we want to talk tactics. You want to stay away from the race aspect. And tactically, they were messed up. They should have went in there and put them in cuffs.
Yeah, no issue with that, though. They could have put them in cuffs. They chose the tactics they chose.
But this is what we're trying to say. People are trying to say that the reason why they chose those tactics is because they were white.
But you can't say that because you have nothing to compare it to.
I can say it. It may not be agreeable. You may not agree with it, but I can say it because the bottom line is, I think, and this is what I'm trying to say, that, and I asked you earlier, why do you think more officers of color feel a certain way than officers of not of color? Because we see more scenarios that don't justify the means for us. We see people of color going through situations that are unacceptable. And you know what's so funny? As straight down the line as you may be, it sounds like it's pro cop, not people. So whether that's what it is and not what you want it to be. And I'm not saying that you feel any other way than what you're saying, but the bottom line is, when people hear anything else, they're going to assume and speculate, because the bottom line is people love you. But the bottom line is, when you hear a person say, "Come on, Kevin, what is it that you don't see?" You understand what I'm saying? Because when we talk about black and white, let me tell you something, and I always take it personal. If that was your mother's house or your girl's house, and she tells you, there was two guys in there, white, black, or whatever they were, and you talking about, you come home and you come in later on it, and you see the cops talking about, what apartment is this? You're not going to be like, yo, this ain't their house. Why aren't they in cuffs? You're going to sit there and he tells you, yo, be quiet. I'm questioning. I'm investigation. You're cool with that? Is that what you're saying?
No, you're not going to get me to change on this one. I don't.
I'm not trying
You
to.
know,
I'm never gonna try
I
to
get what
you
you're going with, Bill. You're trying to throw in, family emotion to it. No, there's no. I get there and it's even my. Try to picture as my own home. Would I be grabbing the cops who are coming in and saying, dude, here's my thing, my license. This is my house. Those people don't belong in here. Get them the effing cuffs. Would I say that to the cops who are running in? Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
so, so
I would
what
say it. But they chose a tactic and they locked them up. If they let the guys go and they were arrested later on, would have a massive issue with this. But I'm not gonna condemn them.
So I mean, the bottom line is we understand that they eventually, at the end of the day, they were arrested. I'm not disputing that, but and this is what I'm trying to say. This is why I'm saying people of color are having more problems with this is because they honestly feel in their heart of hearts, and people out there, correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm speaking out of turn, and I'm looking at the comments, if I'm speaking out of turn, tell me I'm wrong for saying what I'm saying. If I'm speaking for you and I shouldn't be saying this, that most people of color feel that if those were a white woman and those were two black or Latin men in that apartment, they would have been cuffed and then they would have had to prove their innocence. We're saying that the cops tactically, because they saw two white men, that officer saw two white men, he deemed it. It wasn't a. It was like
But we're still going
people,
also beyond. We got to remember, Bill. We're still going beyond race with this thing. This is still an oddball burglary.
Yes,
right?
it is. Absolutely.
All right. They're sitting in the lounge chair with popcorn. Like that's not. I open up a door I see a broken door, and I open up. I'm not expecting to see that. It kind of throws you off. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe then now they're interviewing and clearly they're interviewing, trying to determine. But it's an oddball burglary.
I'm not even disputing that. And could that have thrown the officer off? Yes, absolutely. But not to the point where the woman is saying they broke in my house. So my bottom line is that when we saw the end of the rest of the interview, and I implore you, when we get offline, go back and look in your leisure. They showed the door that was jimmied.
Yeah, of course, the door's broken. There's no question. They showed it. They showed the video of the guys doing it the night before. All right, I got that. There's no question it was broken.
So this is why the picture is painted to me where it was tactically, and somebody like myself of color will say he was tactically soft because he saw two white people in there. And you're going to say the bottom line is they were locked up eventually. So say la vie, right? So
but,
I mean,
but yeah, partially yes. Could you be right, Bill? Yes. I'm not going to sit and tell you you're not. There's not a chance you're right. I'm just not going to say I'm going to call these cops biased based on this. I don't know their history of any other incident, right? And it's an oddball burglary. If they entered and the two guys popped out of the back bedroom, I have a different scenario and thought pattern on this, right?
So let me ask you a question. Let's talk tactics, right? Now I just want you to say tactics with me, right? Same scenario. They're in there, sitting down, standing up, whatever it is, and the cops take two to the head because the guy reaches under the couch and he shoots the cop because he didn't come in there and cuff him. What would you have said to him? Would you have said it's bad tactics, right?
Yeah.
So it's bad.
I'm not telling you Bill. I'm not telling you they couldn't go in with their guns drawn. They clearly could have. They clearly could have cuffed everybody and asked questions afterwards. No doubt. That's all fine. Right? All fine.
But this is what
I'm saying. They chose a tactic. I don't know why. You don't know why. None of us know why because we're missing the beginning of this. They chose a tactic. It was an oddball burglary. They interviewed. They arrested. But there are plenty of times you and I will disagree with the cops' tactics. That's all right. But I don't know was the reason their tactics were off because of the oddball burglary or because of color? I don't know. Could it be because of color? Yeah, Bill, 100% it could be. But I'm not going to say it is without
you
anything
just said
else.
it could be. Why,
Of course
you
it could be. I'm not blind to the world, Bill. You know, I'm just not going. You're giving me the thing of, I feel like everybody else is giving the thing of, it would have been different if the color. I don't know. But it could have been.
So
I got nothing else to show that these guys were.
So let me ask you a question, and I'm switching the whole scenario. And I'm not going to keep you too long. I got a few more minutes. Everybody, shout out to everybody that's watching. I see your comments. I'm going to read them and talk about it in a minute. So let's talk about the Capitol on January 6th. Did those Capitol Police not react a certain way because those people weren't of a certain color, or they were? In your mind, in your estimation?
The Capitol Police. So let's go to the dress of the day. Should they have been in riot gear and all that stuff? Yep, 100%. Is that the police fault? No, that's the executive's fault, right? The cops don't choose that. So the guys staying in the front line, I think they did a spectacular job. When we've talked about this a few times.
Who did a spectacular job?
The cops there. Their job is to protect members of Congress.
You think they did a spectacular job?
What is their duty?
No, I'm just saying. I'm asking.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
What was spectacular about what they did?
They were outnumbered. They weren't prepared for a riot. Again, executives' fault, not their fault. Not the cops on the street, not the sergeants, not the people who were physically out there. The people who sit behind closed doors made the decision of how that day was going to be handled. Right?
I get that, but
right. So they made that decision.
All that. But you're telling me that you think the cops did this? You think they was in the rooms with the guys and they're asking them to take selfies and they're asking them nicely to put their feet down off the table? You think that was a spectacular job?
Their duty is to protect Congress, members of Congress. That is
that building and that building too, right?
Members of Congress. That is their duty. Not a single member of Congress was hurt. Their duty was done. They're the uniformed Secret Service, right? That's their job. They did their job. They got the members of Congress out. They protected them. When one person, they felt the threat was too much from one door, they shot the person, right? Unarmed. They shot him. I got no issue with it at this point. But
why do you say at this point?
So I can't say they I'm sure there's a few cops there who did a bad job that day, and I'm sure there's a few who were incredibly heroic. But as an agency, all the cops out there, I think they did a great job.
So you think the cops you think the cops that was taking selfies with them did a good job too?
What's that?
You think the cops that was taking selfies with them did a good job?
I keep losing you, Bill. I apologize.
Well, I'm gonna catch you. I want you to catch me. Do you think the cops that took selfies with them did a good job?
I'm telling you, I think the internet gods keep making you intentionally miss that one part of the line. Something did a good job.
Do you think the cops that took selfies with these people did a good job? Did a good job?
Oh, the cops who took the selfies? No. Like I said, is there a few knuckleheads in the group? Of course there's going to be. Are there some mistakes? Yeah. What I'm saying is an agency overall, what they did was right. They protected every member of Congress. Not a single member of Congress was hurt. That's their main job. That's their duty. Yeah.
I got you. Let me just read some of the comments and stuff right here. Going back. Let's see. I'm gonna go all the way back to the top. I see you, Dwayne Montgomery, in the building. Like you said, Alicia, technically they effed up. Marquetta said, Kevin, if these guys were black, they would have immediately had cuffs on them and approached them. Situation totally different. Rock is in the building. He's a former law enforcement. He said burglary is a violent crime. Them SOBs should have been in cuffs, especially if you have a complaining witness stating that is her apartment. Is an immediate arrest. My man G Santiago said, white is right, BS. Alicia said, Kevin, this is a consequence of having no accountability for systemic racism and discrimination of police officers. Steph said, you're right, Bill. The process would have been totally different. I see you, Marquetta. Alicia said, this is a consequence of a breakdown of public trust in law enforcement. G something said, he said, F him, Bill. it got happened to him. Too many BS for him. We should run in Gerald said we should run in his house and chill and play Xbox while he out with his family. Yo, Kevin, you ruffling some feathers up tonight, baby. I get you though. Alicia said, I absolutely believe that if a white woman met PD outside and the perps were black, they would have been in cuff immediately or shot. There's no conversation with the perps beforehand. I see you, Darren. Alicia, unfortunately, we're missing the beginning. Blue Matter didn't make a back in January 6th. Blue Lives Matter didn't matter January 6th. Alicia said, Kevin, some did great, others high-fived and took selfies. Derek said, white America believes most black people are inherently violent, which we know to be false. These responding officers saw white people and they immediately calmed their fears of any violence that was going to happen. This is why they didn't cuff anyone proceeding with the bullshit questions. Kevin Collins said you didn't answer my question. We'll have to go back and find out what question you didn't answer. Alicia said, "Oh, Kevin, you just lost me. Really? Some did a terrible job." Jerry said, "If it was black, it would have been a real a Planet of the Apes." Marquetta said, if it is because of color, they walked in and saw two white men, two guys were lax and their taxes put. But if this was two black men, the taxes would have been on a major high. I totally agree with that. They would have came in there with their guns drawn and everything. Maybe. Wow.
Maybe.
Okay. You can say maybe. Robert Wilson said this guy's okay. It's F Fuller. Great topics as usual, Bill. Thank you, Dwayne. So, Kevin, is obviously we disagree with this. And I mean, like I said, yeah, we're glad that she was safe and sound. We definitely disagree on why the officers acted a certain way. People of color are going to say, yo, they did it because they saw white people. You're saying that there's no proof that he would have did that because we don't know what he would have did in the past. And correct me if I'm misquoting you or misrepresenting what you're saying. And we're saying that, the bottom line is that they were locked up. So, like, basically, like, why are people complaining? Am I kind of correct with that, or just?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit that. Look, I'm not telling you there's not racist cops or prejudiced cops or biased cops. They clearly exist. I just can't call a cop prejudice-based, racist, or biased without seeing more, of him, Bill. Like I said to you, those two cops could have been Kevin and Bill, or they could have been, Dumb and Dumber. I don't know. I don't know them, but they didn't do anything overtly racist there, right? Like if they cuffed her, I'd have a massive issue with this, right? They chose a tactic. We can disagree with the tactic, and that's fine. But we also agree that it was a very odd burglary that we don't normally see. So was it the odd burglary that changed their tactics, or was it the color? I don't know.
I have a question for you, and this will be the last question for the night. I know, Stephanie, I think Kevin and I both agree that definitely there should be more law enforcement in the subway system. The crimes are definitely like skyrocketing, and Stephanie, I promise, Kevin and I will address that for you because you deserve, more detail. And Stephanie, inbox me some stuff or text me the stuff that you really want me to talk about, and I'm on it for you. I promise. Kevin and I will address it next Wednesday. But I have this question for you, Kevin. Alicia asked. She said, "Question for Kevin. Kevin, why do you think that most people of color believe that the handling and the outcome would have been different if the purse were black?" That's an excellent question. Kevin and I will address it next Wednesday. But Kevin is working in delay, everybody, so that's good. I'm glad he was able to listen to it.
I had to go. You heard that? I had to go listen.
Yeah. It's all
Why
good.
do I believe people say that? Because there's been look. There are a lot of biased incidents, racist incidents with cops. So we become jaded, and we expect, and we start to see it that way. I don't blame. I'm not angry at anybody here for seeing it differently than
hold
me.
on.
Stay
with me. Stay with me right there. Stay with me right there. You just said there's a lot of and I'm just going with you. I'm not trying to trap you, but I'm going to put you on the spot on something. It's real talk. If you just said there's a lot of incidences, you said that. I didn't say that. I know that, but you just said that. So why is it that this couldn't have been one of them?
I said it could have. I don't, but there's nothing there showing it is. They did. It's an odd. I'm going to keep fighting you on this one. It's an oddball burglary, right? This is not a normal burglary. They chose a tactic we can agree to disagree with them on, right?
Right.
The tactic still in the end worked. They made the right call. They arrested the right person. They didn't do anything bad or wrong. And like I said, this is a tough business. This is a tough job. We're nitpicking this incident where in the end the cops did the right thing, arrested the right person, and we're second guessing them. Afterwards.
Are we second guessing his tactics? Are we second guessing his tactics, or we're second guessing the arrest? Because we're not second guessing the arrest.
Nobody's second guessing the arrest. It's his tactics. Right. We're second guessing his tactics. That's it's a tough job to be in. If every maneuver I make, I'm going to get second guessed on how I do it, even if my outcome is correct. That's a real tough way to live as cops. I get it. I understand it. I understand the anger, the speculation, the disbelief in things, right? And there's reasons for it. I'm just not going to go down that road with this one. Now, can somebody come back to me and show me, 2 videos of something happened 3 weeks earlier with those 2 cops? And I look at it and go, oh no. I put my head down and say, effing fire them, right? Yeah.
All right. Well, I got.
But you also remember, Bill, I have my own prejudicial eyes, right? And I have my eyes for what I saw as a cop of what I did and what you did and, what we all did together. So do I look at cops the way I saw cops? Yeah. Yes. Right. We took an oath for a reason. We do things because we believe in things. So I am not going to.
But we know a cop. But we know, Kevin, too, that we worked with some racist cops, and I'm sure
wholeheartedly we did.
Exactly. So, what you're saying is that we did certain things a certain way, but then also too, we knew that there were racist cops there, and we know that they probably did things their way too. So we're not blind to it. And there's some certain cops. I'm sure we could probably call up for three names, and we'll probably call up maybe the same 3 names. You know what I'm saying? And the bottom line is, it is what it is, because they didn't do it in front of me. And to this day, I don't like their ass. You understand what I'm saying? And I'll tell them in their face, and I don't care. And I say that with a lot of animosity, because the bottom line is, a lot of people don't speak up now, and they don't say what they feel. I'm going to always speak up. I spoke up then, I'll speak up now, and I'm going to speak up until the day I die. And that's why Real Talk Chronicles is this podcast and this platform that we can have this conversation, and that you can sit here and we can have dialogue, because we want the world to be a better place. Whether we agree or disagree or not, we want the world to be a better place. But the bottom line is, there's still people out here that still have a certain ideology, and I can't stand their ass for it. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that you can't stand them. I'm just saying that the bottom line is, you may dislike them. I'm blatantly telling them I can't stand them, because the bottom line is, you hate me unbeknown to me. You just hate my skin tone, and you hate any tone that looks equivalent to me. And they worked, and they had this uniform on, and they did a job, and I know they didn't do it fair. You know what I'm saying? I know they do it fair, but the bottom line is I wasn't around them to prove that they didn't do it fair. You know what I'm saying? So I say all that to say, let me just read some comments and some questions real quick before we get out of here. Alicia said, question for you, Kevin. She said, what do you think? Oh, I asked you that. Collins asked this question, and you can answer it in 1 minute, and then I'll ask one for Jerry. He says, Kevin, how do you think it would have turned out if the Capitol Hill terrorists were black?
So, I missed you, but I'm looking at it's the one from Colin, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, how do you think it would have turned out if the Capitol terrorists were black? I don't know. So here's my answer to that. How many Black Lives
You just
Matter
said I don't know, so that is your answer.
Well, let's go through some things then. How many Black Lives Matter protests happened over the last year, and how many became violent?
But were they Black Lives Matter?
Yeah. Was it? I didn't say the Black Lives Matter people.
But once you insinuated once you said Black Lives Matter, though.
You insinuated.
No, you said it. You said it. I didn't mention Black Lives Matter.
I said Black Lives Matter protests went on in 2020, right? Several became violent. We've had buildings burned. We've had police precincts overtaken. How many unarmed black protesters were shot? Zero.
Right. Okay. Right.
Capitol, mostly white protesters. One white protester shot. Do I think it's the oddball scenario? Yeah. Look, do I think that you have a better chance of being shot by a cop if you're black than white? Yes. I'm not going to sit here and tell you differently, but I'm just going to walk you down that path of we have watched protest after protest in this country. A lot of them, I don't even use a lot. Some of them became violent. None were shot. So I can't say that the Capitol protest would have been different if they were black. Could it have been different? Of course it could have. I'm also not a moron. I'm blind to the world. But I'm just going to go with what's gone on in the last year.
Got you. Let me read the next question. Jerry says, ask Kevin, have you ever been scared of pulling over a white person than a black person? Is he more relaxed when the white more relaxed white than if he was a black? So basically, Jerry's asking. I'm paraphrasing because I took my glasses off. But Jerry's asking.
I don't think I've ever been scared pulling over anybody.
Okay.
That's not. There's only a couple of times in my career where I'd say I was scared or nervous, and it was in buildings by myself going after somebody, and the person turned, right? But I didn't shoot anybody. Never fired my gun. But I've never been scared on a car stop. Have I had my hand on my gun on car stops? Every single one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Everybody, Kevin, you have a lot of comments to go back on.
Yeah.
In your time, I guess on your plane ride or whatever, after you come off, what you're doing. I'm just gonna read. Kevin Marchetti said, "This shaking my head. This is why black people are going to the bullshit now because white people like you are not trying to see the truth, the dirty truth. Call it what it is. Stop trying to cover it up." Okay. All love, Kevin. Though this is just real talk. Robert said, no matter what, he's always going to climb some stupid shit to talk about to make this point right. Colin said, Kevin, you're all over the place tonight with your answer. Tonight you lost me. Still have respect for you though. Alicia, comparing Black Lives Matter to Capitol terrorists is a false comparison and so wrong. Robert, you're not going to get any status section from this guy. He might be cool with you, but he is a little racist. I don't know if Kevin's a little racist. He might be a lot racist. No, let me stop. I'm just I'm just playing with you, Kevin. Derek said those protesters were infiltrated by antagonists from the far right, knowing that the narrative would be looked at Black Lives Matter causing havoc and destruction. Um, Kevin, I think as fair as you want to be and as fair as you try to be, and this is no disrespect what I'm going to say, I think you see it from your eyes, and these are white eyes. I think you'll never understand as much as you want to, and you may try to, what people of color feel, and people of color just, it's almost like, you ever heard of the saying, tired of being tired? You know what I'm saying? Sick and tired of just being tired. Like, I think we find reasons, and I say we, I'm using you as an example, for not just calling it a spade. And that's why people are saying what they say. You're I want you on this show because I appreciate you coming on saying what you say. Whether I agree or disagree with you, I appreciate you saying what you say, because no other white person is coming on saying what they feel. So, I mean, this is dialogue. We've agreed. Sometimes we've argued. We've agreed to disagree. And tonight is a perfect example of certain things that we agree, disagree. But this is Real Talk Chronicles, everybody, and that's Kevin Branzetti, and I'm Bill Forster. And it's from our eyes to your ears, and we can give you the best scenarios that we can. Kevin, say something nice before, because I appreciate you doing what you're doing tonight because of where you are, and you're having your little birthday weekend, and I know that.
No, I'm actually doing the trafficking event down.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm working.
So you mixed.
If you see me away, if you see me away, I'm doing something.
Oh, I thought you was out here, twiggling your toes with somebody. My bad. Mark said, I know Kevin was off tonight. Ruth or Barbo passed away. It's okay, Kevin. Rush Barbo. Oh yeah. So Kevin, I mean, give some people some insight, say something, and we'll talk about it, next week. I mean, we'll let everybody, please. Kevin will chime in with you. Alicia said, although the dialogue painful at times, infiltrating is necessary to get a place of acceptance and understanding. Any friend of Bill is a friend of mine. It's all good. So it's all love, Kev. You know what I'm saying? You can walk in Harlem, man.
It's not an easy seat to be in. I will say that, right? This is.
But you know what? I appreciate
some weeks this is easy. Some weeks it's not. But I'll be here next Wednesday.
But but that's the beautiful thing about it, is you say what you feel, and it's your opinion. No one here can tell you that your opinion is wrong, whether we agree or disagree. We're gonna tell you. Some people are gonna tell you it's wrong. I might tell you I don't agree with it, but it's your opinion, and this is the world that we live in. The bottom line is, do I think you want racism in the world? No. Do I think you would love to see a world where everything is nice and beautiful? Absolutely. So the bottom line is, your eyes are your eyes, and I can't tell you how to see from them, and nobody can tell me how to see from mine. But I can tell you, as long as I can articulate my view and you can articulate yours, this is what Real Talk Chronicles is about. Everybody, if you like what you heard tonight, please subscribe to it. If you're on YouTube, share it. If you're on Facebook Live, the more views, the bigger we grow, the more conversation we can have like this to make this world a better place. Kevin, give them some positive affirmation after all that stuff you said. They don't like you for tonight. But give them some positive affirmation and send them out of here with some love. And Real Talk Chronicles will be back Monday. Yes.
Hey, look, this is what it's about, right? And Bill said it. We're just trying. And that's why Billy and we're out here every week. We're just trying. We can disagree. We're a country of hundreds of millions of people. We're never all going to agree on anything, but we need to talk. We need to occasionally fight, but respect and love each other is the way it's got to go. I'm sitting here and I'm willing to take this and sit in like I say, it's at times an uncomfortable seat.
And I applaud you. I really applaud you. I applaud you for sitting there.
Yes. Speak to somebody. Go talk to a cop on the street corner. Engage him. Learn a little bit about him. If you have a bad dialogue with him, go find another one. And start something. Things start small.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally get. I mean, thank you, everybody. Kevin, go into the comments later and talk to them, laugh at them, agree with them or disagree with them. Everybody, I appreciate you. I tried my hardest, my damnedest. I put myself on the front line to give you the best that I can give you. The best. I try to give you the best guests. I try to give you the best dialogue that I can. I really hope you appreciate it. Can you give us some thumbs up or some applause, please? Because you know this is just what it is. This is real talk. This is love. This is what it's all about. I appreciate all the comments and conversations and the questions. We will try to get back to them. I appreciate you all. I appreciate Kevin Branzetti coming out, putting himself on the front lines to be the build to the board that have the darts thrown at him, because the bottom line is yeah, it is. You say things that people don't agree. I don't agree with it, and some people may think you have a slight racist mentality. Some people may think you all cop. The bottom line is that you are a nice person, and you come here and you share your thing. There's some days that, like you said, everybody still loves you and respects you, because the bottom line is this is how the world will change. It's dialogue. So that's why I appreciate you. And like I said, we're not going to always agree, and you and I will respectfully disagree. You know what I'm saying? Just like tonight. I don't think there may have been about one or two topics that we agreed on tonight. But the bottom line is it's still love and it's respect. And the bottom line is I wish you all the well, and I want to see you here next Wednesday so we can get back into it and we can pick up on these comments if you want us to talk about them, or if you have comments that you want us to talk about, send them to me or send them to Kevin, and we'll talk about it, because the bottom line is, how do we make the world a better place? This is Real Talk Chronicles, everybody. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Kevin Branzetti. My lovely wife, Malika Forster, was in the building. She came and helped us out. Thank you all. Thank you all. I appreciate you. Be careful. It's cold out there. There's supposed to be a snowstorm coming again. I know we're tired of that. Maybe we'll chime in and say, I may say hi over the weekend just to see what you're doing. Next Monday, Pastor Kevin Graves, his first show, spiritual conversation. We'll talk about that. March, we'll have some maybe city council people running for office, and we'll find out should they be people that you want to vote for or not. This is Real Talk Chronicles. Support me, and I support you. I love you. Kev, enjoy. Be careful. All right? Don't get your Clarice Stallings on out there. Be careful. Don't mess around.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to enjoy the 70 degrees tomorrow. You guys have fun in the snow.
Let me know how it is. Everybody, we talk to y'all later, man. Good night. Kevin, go talk to these people.